July Scrabble. Close enough. Good luck, everybody.
I guess Bright is wandering around somewhere. I'll go find him in a sec.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back for the afternoon session of the 4th of July Albany, New York tournament. Matt Canik joined this afternoon by Mack Meller once again. Mack, welcome back to the booth. How you doing?
Thanks, Matt. It is good to be back. I am doing well. Had a fun day yesterday for the fourth. Hope you all did too, whether you were playing Scrabble, watching Scrabble, or doing other things. And I am excited to be back, and we should have some bangers of games, I think, lined up for this afternoon.
Absolutely. Bangers of Games is what we hope to bring you always on Let's Play Scrabble. We are going to show two games from the CSW division and then pivot over to NWL for the last two games of the afternoon. So game number one, we are going to bring the 10-1 sole possession of first place Ben Schoenbrunn onto the stream. He's been at or near the top all tournament and has dodged the stream, but no more. We will bring you your dose of Benji. And Ben will be playing against Nigeria's Bright Idahosa. And the theme of the morning was African dominance. We saw Edgar hop on the stream. We saw Dennis hop on the stream, and each of those two gentlemen played their game extremely fast, extremely precise, and averaged over 500 points as they laid waste to their opponents. We'll see if Bright can keep that momentum going, or if Ben at 10-1 can build on the lead that he has started to stack up against a stacked CSW field. Mac, tell us a little bit about Ben Schoenbrunn, who he is, and how he got to this 10-1 record.
Yeah, totally. I can definitely speak to that. That Ben or Benji, as he's affectionately known by much of the Scrabble community, has been a top player in both lexicons for a very long time. I've known Ben since I was probably about 10 or 11 years old, right around when I started playing tournament Scrabble. I grew up very near to where he did, so he's one of my very good friends. Awesome guy, super funny. He is known as the master of puns as well as of Scrabble. He's super funny, pleasure to hang out with during the tournament and after. He's always in good spirits. So awesome guy and obviously an awesome player. He, I believe, won the Collins division at World Cup last year. So that is, if nothing else, is a testament to just how strong Benji is and how well he tends to perform under pressure and in strong fields, which is certainly, as we've been talking about and as you guys have been seeing, no exception at this tournament. One of the most stacked fields you're going to see, especially in the CSW division, which Ben is playing. And yeah, I guess more about him as a player. He used to be almost exclusively NWL and then made the switch over to Collins kind of gradually. He was playing both Lexica for a couple of years, and I'd say for the past 5 or so has been almost exclusively Collins. So the unfortunate thing for me is that since for now I'm still almost exclusively an NWL player, I don't get to play Benji as much, which is a shame because he's such a good player and a pleasure to play. But he's obviously a force to be reckoned with. He's got great word knowledge, great strategy, great mental game in terms of staying with it and not getting rattled. So should be a great game today.
Let's cut over to the board then. We've got Ben, we've got Bright, we've got Scrabble underway. Ben, again, 10-1 in first place. Bright, 8-3 right at his heels. A win for Bright would make this Collins division extremely tight, and we know there is so much talent in this field. A big game early in the action here from Albany, New York. Let's get to it. Ben, Bright, let's play Scrabble.
Let's do it. And we said Ben is going to be first, right? By the way, I like the hats for both players, especially Benji's. Love the red sort of, I guess I'll call it a short-brimmed sun hat. I'm not sure exactly, but it is cool nonetheless. And we'll see how it seems like it's been lucky for him so far. And we'll see if this game is an exception as we await Benji's tiles here. Let's see, we've got, I see YNERCFI. Looks close to a bingo, but I don't believe there is one. There should be several 5s for him to choose from, though.
Yeah, this is where Benji gets to make a statement about the type of player he is. FY plays keeping the nice synergistic EINRC leave. Finery plays for 32 points, holding just C. So decisions like this tell you so much about a player's philosophy and who they strive to be as a Scrabble player. Lean into the fish and embrace the variance, or take the points right now and play a little bit more conservative. It looks like Ben initially sets down Finery, picks it up, and then slides it over Mac, between those two options, Fi and Finery, is that just a matter of style, or do you think that there's some merit to one play over the other?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say this one is close and probably more a style preference. It's always tough with these kind of racks to know whether to play long or short, right? Obviously, the benefit of playing long is pretty clear. You get more points. Benji got 32 for Finery. The merit of playing short is sort of twofold because while you do get fewer points, he only would have gotten 16 for FY. You keep a much more bingo prone leave of nicer as opposed to just the C, and you also give a lot less back to your opponent because you're giving fewer floaters. In particular, you're not floating INER, which is going to significantly increase Bright's bingo percentage. So it's a tough balance between those two plays. In this case, I think it's close. I mean, nicer is a pun intended, a nicer leave than just keeping a C, but it's not so strong that I think it's clear to play FY. I'm okay with Finery there. I think when in doubt, taking the points on those plays is reasonable.
When in doubt, take the points is a mantra I think we should see more Scrabble players ascribe to. Just in general, if you can't make the decision, just take the points now if it's close. All right, so FUB, I think kind of the standard expected response here from Bright. There are other plays, Habu or its anagram Bahu play in a number of spots for 24, but I think keeping the HT combination here and leaving 2 points on the table is an appropriate thing to do just because of the synergy between those two letters. Mac, Habu, Bahu, Fub, do you think it's all about the same? You like this play here from Bright?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Matt. Definitely the TH combo is nice together. Habu gets a couple more points by getting an extra overlap. The F is not a particularly good tile, though, and the TH, in theory, goes well together. Unfortunately, Bright has a disastrous draw. They're pulling another A and two more I's, pretty much the worst possible draw he could have asked for. And on the flip side, Benji has drawn extremely well here. I'm looking for a 9 through the UR. That is my first instinct for what would be the highest scoring play if it exists. But I am not seeing it immediately.
Spoil this one for you. The engine of Mac. Nobody's home on that. There are two 80-point bingos available, as well as a number of 78-pointers, pluralizing FUB. But two 80-pointers available, and I'll park that right there for now. It looks like chat has found one of them, and I will let chat find the other one before I say it out loud. If you're new to Scrabble streams, I do generally call the words out pretty quickly, so if you're using these as puzzles, you're going to need to hit the pause button or just mute me and think through things yourself. But here is actually both of the 80-point options. We need to figure out what this blank is because ice falls and ice balls are both valid. So it could be an F or a B. And unfortunately, our director has had to step away for a call. So we're not going to be able to see blank cam right now, but that might be a W. That might be a B. I'm sorry, that might be an F. That might be a B. But it is 80 points in either case for Ben. A great pull after the 32-point opening. Ben now leads 112 to 22, and Bright has found treble, AAHIIIT. That is not a fun rack to play through.
No, it is not. And Bright pretty quickly laying down Ilya, which scores only 6 points. Pretty rough to only score 6 after Benji's very nice find, by the way. It's not easy to start a bingo with an I and think about a blank F or B, whatever it is. Either way, very impressive find by Benji. And yeah, as for Bright's play here, geesh. I mean, I hate doing that, especially putting the A above that triple letter score, which is going to give a lot of high-scoring counterplay back to Benji, but I'm not seeing anything else for Bright that's great. I see Hiatal, Hiatal, to that same L in Ice Falls, which does score a little more, doesn't give back quite as much. It keeps 2 I's, which is not great either. Oh, Lithia actually would have been, I think, a little bit.
It's the engine play, Lithia. But this is something we've seen consistently from the African contingent here, is I think an increased sense of urgency about the shape of the board. The beauty of the play Ilya is this lane is probably going to stay open, as this is sort of a bait. The double-double stays open, this stays open. So this guarantees long-term board openings for a situation where Bright is in pretty dire straits already, given how quickly Ben has burst out to this lead. So definitely a non-standard move from like the North American perspective, but we've seen the African players play like this and win like this very consistently this tournament. So we'll see how this one pays off for Bright and what opportunities open up. Shifting back over to Ben, Bignott, the rack there. And he's got to be thinking about how to respond. This looks like a setup. He might be thinking that's an OX setup, locks, IO and AX, or something else, but he's got the tiles to score there. Bigot, I think, just not much else to think about this turn, right, Mac?
Yeah, 100%. Worth mentioning, Bright's play actually blocked bottling or blotting through the 2L. So that was fortunate for Bright that Benji wasn't able to bingo again. Yeah, totally agree with Bigot there. Drawback is you do give back a big S hook on the right-hand side of the board, but there's no guarantee that Bright has it. And what's great, too, is it's very easy for Benji to block that on the next turn if Bright doesn't have it and it stays open. There's not much difficulty in playing a 3 under the O and the T in Bigot and completely obstructing that. Scores a lot of points, clears out some of the clunky stuff on Benji's rack. Absolutely the right play there in my book. Not much else to think about.
So AAEHINT, the rack now for Bright, and Ahi looks like a great play. Score well, set up that S back hook, hold AENT. There was a much better option lying on this board. It was sneaky, it was tough, but a double-double available to Bright, HAURIANT, was 44 there. And as great as AENT is, I think you need to take those additional points in this situation. Mac, do you think this is a miss or perhaps a deliberate pass to keep the board aggressive and dynamic?
That's a good question. Ahi does have some benefits. Obviously, it's a lot fewer points. It keeps a much stronger lead, especially with that S open in Ice Falls or Ice Balls or whatever that bingo may be, which would be a great place for Bright to bingo because it's easy to hit and it would score well. Also, Benji happens to have a great play there of Tronk, but Ahi does make it a little bit harder for Benji to address the right. Like I was saying before, it would have been very easy for him to play under Bigot and block the hook. Now such a block with something like Ito would not have worked because Ahi's would still be open. So I think I would have taken the points there if I were Bright, but I don't think it's like a huge mistake.
Yeah, just potentially an opportunity missed there. I can't 100% sure say it's a mistake, but definitely a turn that I think deserved more consideration there. In any case, Ben's play of Trunk, well spotted, well blocked, thwack that lane with Ahi's as well, and score a ton of points. He's doing all the things he needs to do through these racks. And back to Bright, AEMNOTX. No strong candidate plays here. The X looks to be mucking things up more than actually helping. EX plays in the bottom right corner of the board for 31. TAXOL plays right here, but that kind of undoes the work that Bright has done to keep this S explosive. You think you just cash in the EX? You think maybe, Mac, you fish the X in this situation? Do you have a more creative approach here? Tell us how you would approach this turn.
Yeah, my first instinct is telling me to drop the EX. I don't love parting ways with the E just because it is Bright's best bingo tile. I would not play Taxol here and obstruct that S. Like we said, Bright has been really investing a lot in keeping that open for a good reason because not only is it an easy lane to hit, but it's also a high scoring lane because he'll get to that triple. It's also a lane that it's not that hard for Benji to block, but he's going to probably have to score just a little bit and sacrifice a lot to do so. So I agree with Bright's decision here. Not a very flashy or exciting play, but sometimes those are just the best plays in Scrabble. And I think he's got to do that and hope to draw pretty well here, which he does. He draws Automen. I'm not sure that's going to play, but I guess we'll see about that depending on what Benji does.
Yeah, outnames is a Collins-only anagram of Automan. Outname and Automan, so outnames plays to the S. There's a third one in there. It looks like Notaeum, Notaeums. So Automan plays, but outnames or Notaeums, the big draw for Bright. And again, this gambit of keep that S open, create a bunch of different spots that Ben needs to address. That urgency we talked about. seeming to pay dividends as Bright now able to claw back into this one with a great draw.
Absolutely. And it's worth mentioning, even though Bright will, well, maybe bingo. I guess it'll depend on what Benji does, which we should talk about. Bright is still going to be down because Benji has already jumped out to a 100-plus point lead after his high-scoring bingo, as well as his other plays. Benji has just been a scoring machine this game. All of his plays have scored more than 30 points. Finery was 32, then he bingoed, and then Bigot was 38 points. So Benji scoring a lot of points here, and I don't see any great scoring plays here. I almost wonder if Benji should just play Q-U-E for 17, because it doesn't do that much defensively, but it keeps a really powerful lead of A-E-R-N-T. And sometimes in Scrabble, the best defense is offense. And if Benji can beat Bright to the bingo to the S, which it turns out he won't do, but he can't know that, then Benji is going to block that line while scoring a ton with his bingo and more or less lock this one up. So it looks like a really powerful play to me. That's what my first instinct is telling me if I'm not missing something. He could also just take the approach of playing something to the S for a small score to block. What are you thinking here, Matt?
I don't know. This is a challenging situation. This is one of the things that makes Scrabble endlessly fascinating, too, is depending on the game score, the correct play for Ben is about 10 different options. But this game, Ben is ahead by 101. So to me, the big gut instinct would be try to obstruct this S. I lose to bingos here sometimes. If he's got a 7 ending in an S, fine. But this line is just so juicy. It always feels weird to score like 13 points and make a weird play here, but it's just so much better than any other option. I'd happily cede this bingo because of the counters I get. I'd happily cede this bingo because of the counters I get. This is the one bingo I do not want to give up. And so if I can find a KU4 here, I think that's what I'd look to do. But KUE makes a ton of sense. AENRT is going to bingo a lot to this S. Keep your rack nice and flexible. But unfortunately, when you're ahead, you want to dodge worst case scenarios, such as my opponent bingos to the S first and I miss a bingo. So we'll see if that's exactly what happens here as out names comes down for Bright.
Yeah, get caught up on my paper. Benji has drawn the classic retain plus an A, which I know for sure in NWL makes no 7s. I don't think it makes one in Collins either. And is there an 8? Reattain,
No.
attain, T, aeration, in orate, Collins only through the U. Hey, that one I knew. I don't think there's anything else. Am I correct?
There are no playable bingos for Ben here. So exactly the worst case scenario, my opponent bingos now and I miss, has happened. And all of a sudden, this is a game again. Although Bright trails in this one, Ben's not going to be able to score very well. He's going to get caught up fishing here, I think. There's nothing else to do. This is going to be interesting yet.
I don't know if I would fish here if I were Ben. I mean, the thing is, now that Bright has bingo to the S, the obvious fish would be to drop the A somewhere, like Raga maybe for 6. I just don't know where Ben is bingoing. He could maybe hit above the F in Finery, but that's really not where you want to be bingoing, because you're going to not be scoring much and you're going to be giving back a tremendous amount of counterplay to your opponent, both in the short and long term. And there is this C on the right, but there probably aren't all that many 8s that Ben can hit if he plays off an 8. I would just play Enatic to the C, score 24 points, and try to burn through more tiles, get better scoring tiles while you still have a bingo lead. And I would take that approach rather than trying to fish, because Ben is still in the driver's seat here. He doesn't need to bingo. I think Q was fine. He took a gamble and it didn't work out. But the good thing is, even though it was the worst case scenario, Ben is still ahead, and he should use that to his advantage here. And in my opinion, not fish and just take the points and try for a more balanced rack with scoring tiles on his next turn.
Yeah, conventional wisdom has an S valued at 8 to 9 points. In this game on this board, an S is worth more than that. This S is going to be so huge. Which player is allowed to play there as this board gets tighter and tighter? And I just think that's another reason to try to turn over tiles as much as you can in this situation. But Ben, playing the gut instinct, he's going to fish and try to hit next turn. A buy for 8 is the play from Ben. And Kadi, I think, an easy counter. Not a tough decision here for Bright. QADI, the counter, and then Ben, AEEINRT, now to respond. Has Bright hit his clock yet? No. He's looking at this.
Yes.
Now he's
Now he does. Yeah, Cuddy, like you said, not much I don't think to think about there. He's got to get rid of his cube. You could consider just Chi, but I don't think the AD improves the lead that much. So with a blank still unseen, 2 more S's, a lot of good stuff in the pool. No reason for Bright to not play 2 extra tiles, get the extra 6 points. And then Ben here will be bingoing with Trainee. Definitely his best of the 3, at least 3 NWL bingos. There's Aronite, Retinite, Trainee. There may be more 7s in CSW, but Trainee is great comparably because it makes the left-hand side triple a little bit harder to overlap, putting the 2 consonants there. For instance, with Aronite, Bright could put a high-scoring consonant under the A and overlap for a ton of points. Trainee is at least relatively tough for Bright to work with, especially given that Bright has drawn 2 V's and a W, which is exactly what you don't want to see, especially after a bingo from your opponent. I imagine we're going to see Volti come down through that T pretty quickly on Bright's end here.
VRIL also plays on beneath Kadi for 37 points. So Volti versus Vril is actually going to be a reasonable decision. I think you have to take away the triple word line in this instance, but VRIL holds OVW, which looks like it's going to score a lot of points next turn as well. Both plays have some merit. I don't think it's a no-brainer, but Bright, I think, doing the right thing here and playing a little defense.
I agree. I think Bright is down, so on one hand, you could think maybe I'll leave the T open for myself for the future. I think it's just too easy a spot, though, for Ben to score with while also blocking, and this gets Bright to within just under 40 points. His leave is not good, but there's 6 E's, a handful of O's left. There's enough stuff he can get to bail himself out. There's still enough life to this board between the Fubs hook, if he can get an S, maybe the C in trunk, or Bright could just draw JUVWZ on his next turn and not be able to do anything.
This is a big decision for Ben now. There are a number of great plays. His rack is awkward but powerful. YIP is awesome. It's 38. It retains that big S to hit over here. It does a lot of the right things. But Physic, PHYSIC, is 48 in this spot. Does cash in that S, that's important, but it scores so well that even if you get hit with the bingo from Bright, you're still ahead. Mac, what do you think? Yip, Physic, or perhaps a different option?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was just looking to make sure there were no bingos or other high-scoring plays. Say through the N in Trainee looked interesting. Hypoing, but then the S would still be on his rack. Yeah, Yogic, another option there. It's a tough one. I mean, Physic is a lot of points. How many S's are left? There's still 2 more S's from Ben's perspective in addition to the one on his rack, which makes the S slightly less valuable. If this were the case S, I would be more adamant about him wanting to keep it. With 2 more S's, there's enough of a chance of him redrawing one that I feel there's less of an urge to keep it. I'm not a huge fan of Yip just because the G is a fairly clunky tile, so he'd be keeping, I guess, Gosh on his rack, which is not a bad leave. But yeah, a lot of options, as Matt is highlighting here. Also, Hoy, keeping Pigs, which, again, if you're going to keep the G, I think at that point you're probably better off playing Yip under Kadi, just because to me the SH, at least, and GH sometimes goes together in words. Gosh seems a little better than Pigs as a leave in terms of the synergy. I feel like I'd go with Yogic over Physic. It's 12 fewer points, or 15 fewer points. That is a bit, but SPH is a really powerful leave for both scoring or bingoing, which is exactly what you want when you have a lead, because Bright, if he were to bingo here, which of course it goes without saying he's not going to be doing, but Benji does not know that. If Bright were to bingo, it would be really nice for Benji to have something to respond with.
Running a simulation on it, and of course simulations in computers are not God in Scrabble or anywhere close to it, but Yog does jump up to the number 2 play, YOGH, in this spot. But the number 1 play in the simulation is Physic for 48. Just score all the points right now. This is still a very interesting decision. There's a bunch of different things for Ben to think about, and each of these lead to very different pre-end game situations. But do you just try to jump up by a bingo and start playing whack-a-mole, or do you try to keep your rack a little bit more flexible, go for that bingo next turn, and just put this thing away? A tough decision for Ben to make, and a pivotal one at this stage of the game.
Absolutely. And another thing, too, that's worth considering is the vowel consonant ratio at this point. It's a fairly consonant heavy pool, 12 vowels, 22 consonants. So that does actually make my suggestion of your preferred play of yogic a little scary, because keeping PHS could land Ben in consonant trouble, which is definitely what he doesn't want. It's always good, especially when you have a lead, to prioritize avoiding that kind of thing, because then if your opponent makes a setup, it can be very hard to block. So it looks like Ben going to go with Hoy over here. I'm not a huge fan of this, honestly, because it opens a very scary double-double line as well above the on and the yi on the board there, with 6 E's unseen, 2 A's. It's not that hard for Bright to put a tile above the YE and another tile above the on and hit a 7 there for over 100 points. So I'm not a huge fan of Hoy, but in any case, it certainly does make a decent amount of sense. And Bright looks like is going to play Jug and Gabby, trying to plod through this plethora of high-scoring tiles, holding the rather interesting WRVZ still on his rack.
Yeah, Bright has had some absolutely ridiculous draws. I think he picked up IVVW after Kadi, and then drawing into that rack there with the GUJVZW combination. Like, this is kind of bonkers draws. He's pulled every single clunky consonant out of the bag back to back to back as he watched Ben draw trainee. So that's going to be slightly frustrating for him. But hey, Scrabble's a long game. A couple turns, the draws won't go your way. You've got to steer the ship in the right direction afterwards, though. EGIPPRS, the rack for Ben. He leads 314 to 271 now. And we'll see. Prig, it looks like the option he's going with before we can dig too much into this. GIP, another very strong option right here for 33. That holds PERS, but I think Ben may be looking to shed one extra consonant, knowing we're a little bit consonant heavy over here, or maybe just trying to score as much as he can in this instance. But Prig, the decision from Ben. Mac, between Prig and Jip, do you think it's about the same?
Let's see. How many points would Jip have been? I think about the same, maybe a tiny bit less. Yeah, I think there's no huge merit to holding the R here. In a vacuum, PERS is a better leave, the leave after Jip, than PES, the leave after Prig. It would bingo more often, but I think the thing to note here is that even if Ben draws a bingo ending in S, especially a 7, where is it going on this board, right? There's basically nowhere for 7s to fit. So I definitely agree with his decision to grab a few extra points, accelerate the end of the game with a lead, and like we've been talking about, slightly constant heavy pool, ensure that he has a well-balanced rack. And Bright looking like he makes the right play here. The leave is a little clunky, but Waz scores 48 points, and he's down 80. He's got to get as many points as he can. He's probably still going to need a bingo, though, most likely to come back and win this game, I'd have to imagine.
All right, so yeah, Prig and then WAZ from Bright to catch him up slightly, 351 to 319. Ben's advantage. Ben has pulled into this blank now, and I think, especially with another rough draw on Bright's end, this is going to be an extremely uphill battle. One consideration as well, this line is effectively dead as there are no remaining eyes. So Ben doesn't have to worry about bingos in that spot. And quickly, this board has finally tightened up on Bright. We saw him keep life in this game earlier and then caught up and then just started to sag behind as he pulled those clunky consonants near the end. Ben's not out of the water yet. He needs to make sure he makes good decisions here. And I think this is one. Just score a lot. You're not going to get bingoed on almost ever, so just keep the scoring pressure on and make sure my opponent doesn't catch up. Mac, you like this play, or do you think there's a compelling reason to hold the S and try to bingo or something here?
I think it's fine. The one thing I would watch out for a little bit is it's unlikely, but there is one line for Bright where he could bingo and score a lot, namely the M column next to Jug, A, and Fub. If he has an A and an S for Juga and Fubs, or both S's, he could fit a 7 there for a large number of points. So I would have at least considered something like Pest and Jugs for Benji there to block it. I don't think the S is that imperative for him to keep. That being said, you can't argue with C just scoring well and holding a good lead. And the nice thing about this play too is that Bright is pretty much forced to open the board as he does if he wants any chance to come back. And Ben now is going to have a large number of bingos available under or above the OW, and he's going to probably play something like Petrels pretty quickly here.
Yeah, this is going to put this one out of reach. Technically, the best bingo here for Ben by 2 points is designating the blank a Y and playing Petrel, Peytrel. So he was originally, I think, putting down Petrel, Petrale, before realizing the blank ends up going on a double letter. Now Petrel's the play, technically Peytrel, the best play, but this is going to be more than enough, and I think this might actually be better. Sacrifice the 2 points and ensure that it's hard for a bingo to fit on top. Petrel's the dagger in this one, as Ben pulls both blanks. Bright pulls several consonants late, and Ben does just enough to hold on in this one. I think a very well-played game on both ends.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Definitely no glaring mistakes. Lots of interesting strategical decisions I think could have gone multiple ways. Probably starting from the very beginning, right? Finery versus FY was interesting. Ilya for Bright, several interesting turns, and yeah, like you said, I think both of these players played a good game. It's easy, I think, as a viewer, especially if you're not as familiar with tournament Scrabble at the high level, to think, oh, surely Ben must be playing a lot better given the scoreline and the length of the words each player have played. But that's part of the game. And Bright, as we've seen, had several absolutely nightmarish draws, pulling IVVW and then JGUZ on back-to-back 4 consonant draws. And no matter how good you are at this game, when you draw stuff like that, there just aren't a lot of things you can do. And I think Bright played a very solid game. It looks like he challenged here, so he's going to give 5 more points to Ben, but can't fault him for that. He knows that if Petrel stays on the board, this game is completely over. So if he has any doubt whatsoever, absolutely the right thing for him to do to challenge. But yeah, it looks like this game is going to be a pretty comfortable win for Ben, and maybe he'll even get an out bingo depending on what he draws.
Yeah, just a few things Bright may take home or dwell on after this one. I think the big question is on the AHI turn, did he see the double-double Haurient or its alternate spelling Haurient, Hauriant or IENT, when he played Ahi instead? And then this play of Ilya, I think it definitely ended up working out to keep the board shaped the way he wanted, but one that several North American players would kind of squint at and second guess. So two little opportunities there, but Ben just kind of kept the scoring onslaught on, and Bright didn't draw too many opportunities at the end. Ben, a couple questions too that maybe he could look at. I think the big one, I don't know that this was a mistake, but definitely an interesting turn there. And then the A fish as well. Ben went for it, hit it, and kind of accelerated to a victory after that. We do want to cover one more CSW game this afternoon before switching over to the NWL division. I'm trying to get a word on which game that's going to be, but I think first, before we do that, we're going to put the headset on Ben and that beautiful red bucket hat and get a quick interview with him, his thoughts on those games. So chat, our usual request, if there are questions you have for Ben about this game, we'll try to get to one or two of those in a little interview afterwards. Next game, I think, is going to feature Josh Sokol and Jason Keller, but I'm not certain on that. Little TBD there, but it will be from the CSW division.
Yeah, and it looks like Ben going with Told Here Through the L looks perfectly reasonable to me there. I'm sure he has several outs with SDAE, and he knows that Bright with 2 ends is not going to be able to play out on this turn. Ned looks like a pretty solid play for Bright, and I see Divas for 18 for Ben. Sade, S-A-D-E, or Sadi, I think it's pronounced, plays above Petrels for more than that with Oppo, Do, and Et, and that is exactly where Ben is going to go out. So that is going to be it for this one.
Yeah, SADE. The outplay gives Ben 518 points, pushes him up to 11-1. Ben is at least one game up on the entire CSW field here at Albany, New York. We'll let these two gentlemen get their paperwork in order and then cut over to an interview with Ben. I'm still curious. It never came into play, but what is that blank?
Oh, it's an F. They showed it earlier.
Did they? Okay, I missed that. The blank
Yeah.
is an F. All right. All right. Mystery solved. Well, my Quackle file was wrong the entire game then because I put it in as ice balls.
Now you got to go redo the whole thing.
I am unwilling to do that. I don't even save these GCG files after I Quackle them. I just reset as soon as possible. So somebody else can be the archivist who re-uploads this to Quackle and then submits them to cross tables. My archiving days are long over. I annotated far too many games already.
Yeah, no, me too, for sure. It's always fun to do, but it's definitely a lot of work. But yeah, certainly a great asset though to the community. A lot of players do still post, including top players, post the majority, if not all, of their games onto cross tables in the annotated game section. So it's a great way to learn at whatever level of Scrabble you're at. There's no better way than to learn from players who are at the top of their game and have been doing it for a long time. So highly recommend to all the viewers in the chat who are a bit newer to Scrabble or already tournament players but looking to take their strategical understanding to the next level. Definitely go to crosstables.com. Go to the profile of any top player or whoever your favorite top player is and look at some of their games and just see what they have to say about the turns and strategy. It's really fun. It's a great way to learn too.
I still fondly remember the days 2006, 2007 when there was a newsletter that was sent out and each month it had one annotated game with expert commentary on it and I ate that up. So we don't realize how lucky we are now that there are thousands of annotated games from oodles of different top experts out there where we can just dive in and get a sense of their rationale. It's a huge gift to the Scrabble community. Check those out. Learn a couple words, learn a couple strategies, watch experts make mistakes and then make fun of themselves. It's a fun place to be. Up on cross-tables.com and find a bunch of Scrabble history, archives, games, head-to-head records. That's also a huge tool in the Scrabble community. Huge shout out to Seth Lipkin for creating that. You're a gem, Seth. All right, we've got Ben on the head. Ben, welcome to the interview booth. Matt Canik and Mack Meller in the box. Congrats on that victory. What is your initial takeaway from that game?
I just drew well.
I just drew well. Ever the modesty that we've learned to expect from Ben. Yeah, sometimes you draw well in Scrabble, but you had a couple tough decisions there in that game, and you found the tough bingo. Ice Falls, I believe it was an F, right? Was well spotted. A lot of players, I think, don't even consider that I and just pull the trigger on something else. So you drew the stuff, but you did the right stuff. We wanted to ask about the KUE turn where you played for 17. No playable bingos there. Just tell us your thought process on that whole turn.
I just figured my rack was good. Why not try fishing for a little bit? I considered blocking the S, but again, my rack is good. I might need spread later. I'm pretty likely to win this game either way. So that's basically what I was thinking. Nothing super complicated. I did kind of get punished there a little bit, but again, I just drew well enough to be fine.
Yeah, and KUE was a tough turn, but not necessarily wrong. Just definitely did you think about blocking the S? Was this and understanding too? It's partially a spread play makes some sense as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't love the blocks, and I wasn't sure some of their validities, KUT, just S, stuff taking S's. So I just went with a fishing play. I figure that's fine at that stage in the game. But yeah, I've just been drawing like this the whole tournament. It's not, this field is nuts.
Yeah, these are the stretches that keep you coming back to the well that is Scrabble, man. When you can't be touched, it feels really great. Mac, what questions do you have for Ben?
Yeah, I actually was wondering about the turn right after Q, since the dynamic obviously changed a lot with Bright bingoing and the score getting a lot closer. It was not the best draw with AI, obviously a well-known rack there of retaining an A that doesn't make sevens. And we were wondering whether we were going to see a fish, which Benji ended up going with, or something like Enatic to the C, blowing up the rack more and going for turnover and score. Did that cross your mind, or were you pretty fixated on fishing again at that point?
I thought about like it just doesn't score enough. That was my thoughts. Like if I could score like 30 to 40, I would blow up the rack. But like it was scoring like 24, like or 21. Like that's just not enough for me. Like
Gotcha.
I'm
Definitely makes sense.
I'm just so likely to hit bingo next turn.
Yeah, we just thought there weren't a ton of lines for bingoing potentially with that leave, but I guess the EF line you are pretty likely to hit as with a 7 on the 7th row over there, and it's certainly paid dividends with training on the next turn.
Yeah, like I guess an I messes with me. Another A obviously would not be good, but most like if I miss, I could just score next turn. Like I was gonna try and fish. I think it was correct there.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah, just a back-to-back tough decisions for you, but you navigated them well and came out with the W at the end of the game. Ben, no stranger to playing on Let's Play Scrabble, as we watched you win the 2023 Word Cup on this very YouTube channel. We have a question for you about your summer plans this year. Are you playing in either of the big tournaments coming up later in July?
Yeah, I'm playing Nationals and not playing World Cup. Albuquerque is too far.
So Ben will be on the SPC stream from South Bend, but no defending his Word Cup title this year. That means that championship is up for grabs. All right, well, Ben, we want to let you go stretch your legs, get a bio break, but once again, congratulations on the W. I'm certain we'll see more of you on this stream across the course of the tournament. Until then, thanks for the time and good luck.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you again for all you guys do. Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye, Ben. All right. And we'll cut away from the board for just a moment. I think Josh Sokol and Jason Keller are the game, but not sure. We are going to plan to cut to a short break while we get the players corralled. We'll be in the chat just as soon as we know what this next matchup's going to be. But cutting away to a brief break right now is Matt Canik and Mack Meller. We will be back very shortly. Y'all don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. 3 more games of Scrabble today. 1 more from the CSW division before we jump ship over to the NWL division. This is our continued coverage of the July 4th Albany, New York tournament presented by Josh Greenway and Kieran O'Connor. Matt Canik joined by Mack Meller. Mac, we have had a string of kind of blowout games today, and so Mac and I were talking over the intermission. How do we fix this? And what we've decided is we're going to make a sacrifice to the Scrabble gods. We have each procured a bottle of super spicy hot sauce and are pleading to the Scrabble gods for a really close, good, exciting game in this round so we don't have to watch another drubbing. And if this game is awesome, then Mac and I will take a hot sauce shot on the stream. If it's another blowout, I don't even want to talk about what I'm going to do. Okay, we have Josh Sokol and Jason Keller. Let's cut over to the board. Neither of these players has had the start they were looking for to the tournament. Both of these players have had a lot of success in Albany in the past. Josh Sokol in 2023 wins 20-2 over a 22-game New Year's tournament in Albany. And Jason Keller won the CSW division in the Winter Albany in 2024. So both players have had success here, and it's a very long tournament, 27 games. Josh has dropped into chat and mentioned he is already on tilt right now. Each of these players needs to remember that it's a very long tournament, and you can make a run in a tournament that's 27 games. Mac, ready to go? Any last thoughts before we play some Scrabble?
No, I think you summed it up very well, and yeah, absolutely. Not the start either of these players wanted, but they've both proven time and time again why they are ranked as high as they are. And yeah, 12 games already done, but like you said, Matt, very long tournament, 15 more games to go. Anything can still happen. Both of these guys with their skills absolutely in it if they can just keep playing good Scrabble and draw a little bit better tiles. So it should be an interesting game. And the one thing I will add on to Matt's pledge to take the hot sauce shots, if somebody in the chat could kindly clip it, if we do end up taking the hot sauce shots, that would be absolutely awesome to have saved in perpetuity. So that would be my one request to the chat if possible. But anyway, here we go. Scrabble underway. Jason is first, and let's see. He has a C and a W, which is probably going to make it a little tough for him to bingo. I don't see his rightmost tile. Looks like he's got two I's.
IITW.
He's got citywide minus a Y. Maybe something like twice here or whited could potentially be best.
Yeah, I think 4 options kind of jump out. Whited and twice, 2 of those. WIT if you really want to bingo immediately and set the tone in this game. And then citied, CITIED. That holds a W, but gets rid of all these vowels. So I think one of those options, but whited or twice seem to be the strongest 2. And Jason opting for whited in this situation. 26 points. I think the correct decision from him. But that Z or that E that he's exposed is going to get hit hard. AEEINOZ. So lots of stacking opportunities here with ZE. AZIONE, the standout option, 52 points, but opens this board up quite a bit. Maybe Josh looks for a way to keep things a little bit tighter. Maybe just a Zoa or Zoea, more conservative kind of play. Mac, lots of stacking opportunities here. What stands out to you initially?
Yeah, that's clearly he's going to be doing something above ZE. He has Azione lined up now. Let's see, that puts, yeah, I think that's probably fine. The problem with making a shorter play is Josh is going to be, by definition, and keeping too many vowels on his rack, and he's also going to be blocking his 2 best floaters to go with such a leave. He'll be blocking his T and his D, and keeping a leave like IENE on a board that's bereft of consonants to play through is probably not great. So I think for me, it's between Azione and Zoea. Both of them are fairly aggressive. Zoea takes an E, an L, and an S. Azione, I am going to assume takes an S, but I am not positive. Azione actually feels a little bit safer to me because it puts an N as opposed to an A above or below rather the triple letter score. Josh is going to go a little bit tighter, though, playing ZEA for a couple fewer points and keeping the slightly Val-heavy leave. Personally, that's not what I would have done, but I know Josh tends to be a little bit more of a defensively minded player than I am, so not here to say that one is right or one is wrong. Maybe a little bit of a stylistic difference, but yeah, interesting call there for sure.
I'm not a fan of this from Josh. I just think it keeps too many vowels. AZIONE opens so many different spots at the same time that I don't really care. Like, there were 3 different major places opened. So I think probably a missed opportunity or a misplay from Josh. Not one to say for certain. He's a national champion for a reason, but I think maybe not the best play there. And this is going to give back a huge play to Jason as well. Aloetic, the only valid 7 in that rack, plays with zeal. And yeah, Josh is going to get it back very hard after that. 102 now for Jason, 47 for Josh, but EEINORS is going to give Josh opportunities to bingo back here. Just 2 playable bingos for Josh, each of them just 60 points, but a 60-pointer is better than no bingo at all. So Josh has to be relieved. He's found a floater he needs.
Yeah, so he's got the choice between Oneriest and Seratine, both through the T and Aloetic, and as Matt said, both scoring 60 points. So a little bit of an interesting decision here. Seratine keeps the board considerably more open by floating an N and an E and also offering an S hook for Seratine's. Oneriest considerably tighter. This game is going to be more or less even after Josh's play. Josh will be up 5 points, but Jason will have an extra turn. So basically even for all practical purposes. I expect from Josh, we're probably going to see Oneriest, as he does, like I said, tend to generally favor slightly tighter boards. I think that's fine here. There's no compelling reason, I don't think, to really open the board here and give your opponent more to work with, especially N and E are pretty attractive as floaters. I think Oneriest is perfectly fine here. What would you go with, Matt?
Yeah, Josh is going to be the underdog even after this bingo. Although his play puts him ahead by 5 points, he's going to be down a tempo. It's going to be Jason's turn, essentially. And so he's still slightly at a disadvantage after this, but it's close to an even game. I think either one makes some sense, but when in doubt, don't expose the floaters. I think Oneriest beneath Aloetic is probably the correct decision here for Josh.
Yeah, no, that all totally makes sense. It's worth mentioning, Jason, as bad as his draw here of GKOOTY is, if he were to get an L, which he's not going to get, he would actually have a bingo of Tokology, TOKOLOGY. Really cool low prob A. Just feel obligated to point that out because it is really cool. But of course, Josh will not be floating an L because Josh does not have an L to float.
Oh, that's an alternate spelling of TOCology. That's one I do know, but the K spelling is wild on that. A tocolytic is something that breaks up contractions in a woman. I know that kind of medication, but tocolytic with a K? That's nuts. Speaking of tricky words and medications in general, aloetic is an adjective in NWL play, but it does take an S in CSW. So for those of you NWL players following along, that is more board opening than you think. This board is more open than you think, and I just wanted to point that opportunity out. Josh surely knows that. He's played enough Collins for enough time now that I'm sure he's seen a very high prob 8 like that. But just putting it out there, Aloetic does take the S in CSW. Oneriest, the play that Josh opts into. I'm curious why he spent so much time there, but I'm sure he'll blog about it or something after this and let us know. GKOOTY on Jason Keller's rack. He is down by 5 points, but has high scoring options. Gookie and AY, I think, is kind of the star play here. 4 points above anything else in terms of valuation. And Jason says, yeah, I agree. There's not much else to do with 3 O's and a G and a K. We're going to play Gookie and get out of this. I think nothing to analyze here. And we'll shift back to Josh, who's pulled a fun rack, AFINRTV. I enjoy these racks.
He's got a great play through the I and the E as a non-bingo double-double. We'll see if he finds it.
He has 2 non-bingo double-doubles through the disconnected I. One's good and one's awesome.
Well, Vinifera is there something better than Vinifera? I'd be shocked.
No, Vinifera is the awesome one. Inviter is 3.
There we go.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think if anybody is capable of looking there and finding it, it is Josh Sokol. And it looks like Josh is going to check Gookie. Maybe he's not 100% on it, but again, for those NWL players watching in Collins, the penalty for incorrectly challenging a word is a 5-point penalty, not a lost turn. So it's considerably less steep, and definitely makes sense to challenge if you are unsure of that. So Josh, taking advantage of, perhaps he got a little bit confused because I don't believe Gookie compares. Gookier and gookiest, at least in NWL, are not words, whereas geeky does. So maybe that threw him off a little bit, and he thought that gookie was possibly not valid at all. But in any case, we will, like I said, see if he finds his either of his star plays through the IE inviter or the even superior vinifera, and there we go. It is coming down immediately. Like I said, an awesome play, but exactly what we've come to expect from Josh. No big surprise there.
yeah, wow. These are tough to spot. A lot of people whiff on this, but not Josh. Even at 6-6 and quote unquote on tilt, as he puts it, he spots Vinifera. He spots it quickly. Well done from Josh. 56 points. And he actually pulls ahead in this game now, 163 to 138. I don't think Keller has drawn his tiles yet, so tough to talk about this turn. But nice play from Josh. Flashy. Give us the content. We want it.
Absolutely. It's worth mentioning that does take an S. I believe it is a kind of grape. Sometimes those words ending in A don't take S's. They will pluralize AE, or they'll already be plurals of a word ending in UM, but this one does. And yeah, we will wait to see as Jason probably what happened there is he had drawn his tiles but turned them upside down because of the challenge and just hadn't turned them right side up by the time Josh made his play quickly. And Jason has drawn the Q, which he's likely going to want to try to shed. I see immediately just playing. Does he have is that a D on the far right? I think it is. Assuming it is,
Yes.
then he can play Cade or Cody through the A and Vinifera. He could also, as Matt is drawing on the board now, consider holding the Q and playing Feated, spelled with an extra O, making of KO and A, which scores very well. It does still leave Jason saddled with the Q. So interesting decision here. I could kind of see either one. What would you go with here, Matt?
I just want to point out first, I've noticed that I think the first thing that goes out the window when I'm having a bad tournament and when I'm on tilt is my ability to deal with racks like this one. When I go on tilt, the first thing that really starts to mess with me is the Q. I look to shed it at every possible opportunity because I want to bingo next turn when I go on tilt. And so I've misplayed situations like this a number of times, but in this instance, I think feted, keeping the Q and scoring 44 points is what you need to do. With 6 tiles turning over, 4 U's still to be drawn in the bag, an abundance of eyes out there too. Like, the Q's not going to be a huge Trojan horse necessarily, and 44 points is a ton. So I think bypassing Cade or Cody and cashing the points, if you see the nice overlap, is a great decision. Even if you don't spot Fetid, FOID plays right here. That's a pretty awesome play too. Or FIDO in the same spot. That scores 35 or 34 points. I think almost any of those plays merit holding onto the Q for at least one turn.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Especially, you made a great point. 4 U's still unseen, several eyes. So I think also another factor is that the Cade, which Jason does understandably end up going with, the leave is fine EFOP, but it's not that good. If Cade were keeping a stronger leave, I could see giving up the points more to shed the Q. But given that the leave after Cade is mediocre anyway, I think I totally agree with Matt that ideally Feated there would have been best just because of how many more points it scores. And with 6 shots at a U or an I do think Jason would have had a good chance at bailing himself out. But we now switch over to Josh, who has drawn the blank, but some clunky consonants to go with it. The first thing I'm seeing is pubic through the I in Vinifera, which scores pretty well and keeps the very strong LT blank, which should put Josh in great position to bingo on his next turn.
Yeah, Pubic the standout play here. There's not too much else to consider. The only other option on the candidates list that even makes any sense would be playing PUB right here alongside Gookie. That's just if Josh wants to try to start closing down the board, if he feels he can win the game better that way now that he's drawn into this blank. He feels he's at a small advantage, so maybe defense, but I think Pubic just leaves so much equity on the table if you bypass it. 23 points holding LT blank on this turn. He can't do better than that. Good play here from Josh.
Yeah, completely agree. I think pub is just way too awkward. It's a big point sacrifice. CLT blank is definitely a little too constant heavy. And even holding a blank, I don't think at this point it's early enough. Josh is probably not in a position where he can reasonably be secure in his confidence of winning the game after pub on a tight board. There's still plenty of ways to score on this board or for Jason to reopen and bingo. So I think this is absolutely the right call here for Josh, just taking his points and cleaning up his rack a little bit better. And Jason is close to some bingos here. I see Fireboat by 4-8, but no A open. So maybe something along the L column like we were looking before. Yeah, he could play Fibers Fibro. I did not know
Yeah,
that.
that is a column's only 5. It plays for 45 points. That is head and shoulders above any other option. 48 points of valuation. Next best play is 40. So this is a big thing for Jason to spot. And instead, he's found option number 2, Forb. I've said it so many times today, and I'll keep saying it. Scrabble's a game of consistency. You have to find these things every turn. And while Forb is a good play, Fibro is an awesome play. Some players don't make this mistake, but at 5 and 7, it's easy to start becoming blind to different choices. Fibro play number 1, Forb play number 2. Jason's got to dodge trouble now as he's held too many vowels on the last play. And Josh now GELOTV blank. So a number of 7s in this rack, at least voltage, but nothing's going to fit on the board. I think Josh has a very easy decision here. A GOV just seems like the thing you have to do, right?
Yeah, that looks really good to me. 27 points, doesn't give anything whatsoever back to Jason. In fact, it takes out a really nice line down the M column over there, keeps the fabulous LET blank. It's worth mentioning he doesn't have anything there now without burning the blank, but that ED spot, guys, down the H column to that top triple is absolutely a spot we're going to want to keep an eye on for the rest of this game as long as it stays open. It's not a bingo line because you could only play 6 tiles there, but because there is that triple word score, it could potentially yield big plays. So something to watch out for. He could play groveled, burning the blank. It is 48 points, so it's a bit. Is it worth it? I don't think so because Gov, like I said, is still 27. And 21 just feels like a little bit too small an amount to justify burning the blank for. So I would play Gov here, but it's still at least worth considering that option. And like I said, just keeping it in mind on future turns.
Gov just seems like a stupid I'm not thinking play because after you make this, like there are no bingo lines left and you're keeping bingo stuff, but it is just so much better from an equity perspective than anything else. Jason plays here a lot and exposes something for me. It's just way too much equity to pass up. And so plays like this feel weird to people who like to have a good, tiles that match the board, but such a solid equity play. You kind of backed into having to make this play. We'll shift back over to Jason now, who followed back behind after that play, 213 to 205. Boy, am I glad that we did not agree to do a shot of hot sauce every lead change because there have been a number of those this game. Jason's going to play FRIG. This makes sense. EILT is a great leave. And there's that floater that Josh was hoping for, but with another U that he's pulled into his rack, or 2 U's that he's pulled into his rack. Yeah, nobody's home, bingo-wise. Josh is going to have a fun turn. This is an opportunity to give us a little bit of content. Tune-up plays down to the P. Does Josh want to open up this huge triple spot holding a blank in tow? That is a fun possibility, but another easy equity play of Ulu right here makes a ton of sense too. Mac, what do you think? Do we play for fireworks at the 4th of July tournament, or do we play conservative if we're Josh?
Yeah, I think as much as tune-up would be fun, if you're going for the win here, which of course Josh is doing, I think Ulu has to be the play. Honestly, even on equity, it's probably better. Tune-up is 6 more points, but ENT blank is just so much more solid than L blank. And I mean, barring another draw like this, you have to feel so confident in your ability to bingo. And I think Josh is down a tempo, but he's still in a great position given his rack. And there's absolutely no need for him to give something that strong back to Jason here. And I will say, too, and it applied on the last turn, something that can be nice about keeping the board tight when you have a blank and such a strong leave in tow is, while it's a little counterintuitive because on one hand you want to open the board for yourself to bingo, if you keep the board tight, that can encourage your opponent to open the board, especially if they're not in a great position. And then at that point, you can be ready to pounce since you have such a good lead. So that was probably part of Josh's logic with Gov, and it was good logic. Unfortunately, it got foiled by the fact that he drew 2 U's in a 3-tile pool, and that kind of thing will happen in Scrabble, and it's aggravating, but Josh needs to just put that out of his mind here. I think make a play like Ulu, dispose of those U's, and more likely than not be in good position to bingo on his next turn.
Yeah, Josh has just had a series of plays now where it's like, I guess I kind of have to do this. Like, Pubic is just the best thing I have. It doesn't shape the board creatively like I want, but I think I need to do it. Gov, the same deal. I just have to do this. And then I think Ulu, once again, you just have to do it. These are kind of boring, unoriginal plays, but sometimes your racks are inflexible and you don't really get the option to be creative in Scrabble. And that's kind of what we've seen Josh backed into here after a series of clunky draws.
Yeah, for sure, and that's a great point. I mean, sometimes, yeah, obviously there's a lot of layers to Scrabble strategy, right? The most basic layer is equity, which is just points and leave. It would be something that, say, Hasty Bot or Speedy Player, one of the bots that moves instantly, would consider as its really its only criterion for evaluating plays, and that's important. At some point, you do obviously want to go beyond that, like Matt was alluding to, and start thinking about board shape, but at the end of the day, equity is still king in the sense that if something is so much better on equity, like we saw with Pubic and Gov, it usually does override board shape concerns. And I think that was kind of forced. And here we go, guys. We are going to see the content play of tune-up for Josh. So, yeah, not what I would personally go with, but I love to see it, especially as a commentator.
Yeah, but I think Josh is going to get smashed very hard. Exit is so easy here for Jason.
Ooh.
It's not his best play. He's actually got an even better option in Textile. But 66 for Textile, 56 for Exit. And honestly, I think this is a play that Josh doesn't make if he's 10-2 or 9-3. I think this is a Josh is 6-6 and on stream, trying to help us have a little bit of fun. But I do think it's a cool play and a cool idea. Curious if he would do it at 10-2 as well. But Textile going to hit him back hard. It was 229 before that move. Jason surges ahead by a bingo after that. And
I would so love to see Jalapeno come down here, given our conversation about hot sauce. But unfortunately, the N is just in the wrong spot. That's very disappointing.
Oh man, I would have had to break my rules and just do the hot sauce shot immediately if Jalapeno got played.
I was just thinking the same thing. Oh man, that's a shame. But yeah, I guess probably we're going to see. Oh, that's a really nice play. That is a 4. I actually did not know. Jaffa for probably the better part of 50 points there, getting the J both ways on that double underscore. Yeah, that is the best play by a long shot.
Jaffa is the word that made me fall in love with Collins a little bit. I love the definition of this word. I cannot say it on the broadcast, but I will let you go look it up if you're unfamiliar with New Zealand trash talk.
Now I can't help it. I'm going to look it up on my phone right now.
Absolutely. And a great pull from Josh after a series of rough ones. EELOPS blank is going to give him a lot of flexibility next turn. Jason has 17 minutes left on his clock. Plenty of time to approach what's looking to be a challenging pre-endgame situation. What has he pulled to go with that I? OW is not promising. TW helps a lot.
So
and
Midtown, right?
Wow, but that doesn't fit.
Play. Yeah. Wow.
Without Midtown, this play is a lot sadder. MOW or MOWN in this spot are really all you've got, or similar plays DOW up here if you really want to hold the M for some reason, but not a lot of options. Jason's just going to make an intermediate play, and then Josh is going to bingo with Gospeled or Gospeler next turn and jump out. This is going to be a good game. I think we ought to get our taste buds ready. My hot sauce is
Is Gospel good? I know it's not good in NWL, but it may be good in Collins. I just have to ask.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, no, it's not. Wow. Okay, Gospeler only, but not Gospel.
I have confidence Josh knows that, but we'll just want to pay attention very closely to that blank designation when it does come down to make sure he does indeed make it an R.
Just a freaking acronym. I love that. That's what Jaffa means. 100%. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love. I did look up the actual definition, which, like Matt, I will not repeat. But yeah, that is really, really funny. I love that.
Now, anytime I hear someone's going to New Zealand, I ask, "Are you going to Auckland or are you going to another part? Are you a Jaffa?" No. Okay. Here comes MOWN. A good decision from Jason, and I do like putting the N down as opposed to holding it here. DIT, DINT. It's about the right difference to make it a decision, but we want to play for turnover with those two unseen blanks to Jason. So I agree with what here.
Let's not forget, Aloetics is good in this lexicon. So the S is in addition to the blank, which of course now is no longer available, and we do see indeed the correct blank designation from Josh Sokol there, making it an R instead of a D. That is going to be 89 points and bring Josh up to 366. But Jason, guys, has drawn the blank, and he is going to be slapping down probably Destiny and Aloetics, I would imagine, on the next play, unless I am missing something better.
No, Destiny is the only playable bingo, or Destiny and its anagram density, and it plays both here and here. So if Jason is even 98% sure on this hook, he might want to think about taking the other spot, but every point is crucial. He trails by 41. The 80-point bingo, definitely a stronger option. I do also want to point out just the 4-tile play of SYND for Jason is a good option. It's 43, holds IT blank, catches him up. So he needs to decide, do I bingo right now? Or do I think about waiting one more turn, knowing this line's open and I'm creating two more big ones?
Now, I do have to correct spot with Aloetics. Josh will have a Collins only 8 that I only know because Bright Idahosa missed it in the last game against Benji. He will have Haurient, Haurient, through that N, which will barely fit on the M column for 66 points. So this could be a very interesting sequence of events, guys. And like Matt said before, I think whatever happens, you should definitely be prepared to consume some hot sauce within the next 5 minutes, because I have a hard time imagining this game is going to be decided by more than 50 points.
So here comes Destiny, and this is how you learn words in Scrabble, is you just continue to consume content. You play, you watch, and words come up and then they stick. But we learned Haurient last round, and how incredible that it's going to come up this round, as Destiny from Jason looks like an awesome play, but lying in wait is the bingo back from Josh. Bingo, bango, bongo at the end of this.
This is going to be a nail biter because Haurient, like I said, is going to be 66. That'll put Josh up 27. There are 4 tiles left, which means Josh will have 4, Jason will have 7 in an empty bag end game. Jason down 27. Probably advantage Josh, but if Josh doesn't draw an out and Jason has a strong out in 2, then could go either way. I wonder if Josh, I think, is holding here, maybe considering challenging if he's not sure of Aloetics, but those 5 points could really matter. This is going to be, assuming Josh sees Haurient, this is going to be a very close game, but I have to imagine Josh needs to find Haurient. I don't see any way for him to really stay in this game. I mean, he could play here above Destiny. That almost brings it even, but it would be 7v7 with an empty bag, Jason to play. I have to imagine that's a pretty easy win for Jason in most cases. So this is a must find for Josh here, I would say.
Yeah, must find for Josh 100%. Yesterday, we learned a lesson on the stream. We saw a number of challenges made before people had even looked at their rack, before people had even turned over their tiles. And, if Josh insta-challenged this because he was frustrated that it got bingoed on, there's a chance, leaving it and bingoing with Howrient in his best sequence is his best sequence. He needs to take a lot of time here and think this through. The 5 points for this challenge could turn a win into a loss, but I don't know. There's just a lot for Josh to dissect here. I expect to see him take a very long time trying to figure out his best path to victory. You think he's going to see Howrient? He knows this word.
I think he does, because I think if he didn't see Howrient, he would have challenged already, because he would know with 4 in the bag here that if he doesn't bingo and this stays on the board, he's lost. So I think Josh sees it. Now, does Howrient take an S? Because that will be an important consideration for the next turn. It looks like I'm seeing thank you, Alec, in the chat. Is not. Okay, so that's interesting, because Josh obviously sees that there's an S unseen. So that's going to limit Jason's ability to score. And it looks like Josh is opting to challenge. So interesting. Okay, so Jason's going to get a nickel, as we like to say, another 5 points. Which and he got, if you recall, too, guys, that he got another 5 points for Gookie earlier. So that's 10 points now that Jason has gotten off of these challenges. And while, as I've been saying, the penalty is less in Collins, those 5 points can still matter sometimes. So it's, you still don't want to challenge if you don't really feel the need to. And yeah, now we're going to see, does Josh come up with Howrient here? And then, yeah, he will be drawing HEAR out of the bag. And then, yeah, we're going to have some tough endgame permutations on our hand to look at. And I fully expect that Jason, with 13 minutes on his clock, should Josh bingo here, is going to take all of his time, as he should, because that's going to be an intense endgame.
This is going to be interesting. Yeah, I feel like Josh would have insta-played Howrient after the green challenge if he saw it. I feel like, whether this is good or not, like he's figured out the sequence. I wonder if he just doesn't see this word. Now, I don't know if Josh is completely dead if he misses the bingo. Fishing here just a little bit and keeping a flexible rack might just work. DUH right here, like maybe there are draws he can hit here or here in addition to one of these floaters. He's not 100% sunk, but I think you have to play the bingo here, assuming you see it.
Yeah, I think if you don't bingo, I don't like duh, because that enables Jason to play horizontally from the H to the right and actually block both lines at once. I think if you're going to fish here, if you're Josh, you need to play off the UH elsewhere, because it's very difficult for Jason to block the 7 line under Destiny, which is actually pretty easy for Josh to hit, as well as that N. Now, the N is not a great line because the N has to be in a specific spot late in the word, but I think you absolutely have to ignore that part of the board if you're Josh, if you end up fishing. And yeah, I have to assume here that Josh does not see Howrient. I don't think there's any way that not bingoing is better than bingoing here. Another question is, can Josh theoretically win this without bingoing, especially after giving Jason another 5 points? I don't think so. I mean, again, here above Destiny, 33 points. He's down 11 in a tempo, keeping TUI. There's no way he wins that, I don't think, ever. So, yeah, maybe I see another interesting suggestion from Jackson in chat of Qua from the Q in Cade. Very, very aggressive, setting up an I for Quay over there. That's interesting. I just wonder how often does that hit the end, though? Because Jason's going to be blocking the hook every time. So Josh is going to be – I guess there's also the I in Destiny he could hit also. So he's got a couple choices there. I don't know if the H is a great thing for him to keep. I feel like I would probably play off UH somewhere, but if this is a tough turn. I think we can safely assume Josh does not see his bingo at this point, though.
So all the talk we've been doing all tournament about this is the sickest CSW field ever, and then we're going to watch the same Retina bingo missed 2 games in a row. That's sarcasm, of course. These players are still brilliant, but it's just baffling that I've seen this. Not ever on the bingo card of things I thought I might see on the stream. Adam Logan lets a phony by, and then Howrient has missed 2 games in a row. Interesting day.
It's a little right? Because in the last game, Bright missed it as a non-bingo through a UR and a double-double, which is actually harder to see, I would think, than a bingo like in this position, because you're just less inclined to look for it. Another option I want to mention too in the chat suggested by Lewis is Tui and Chi setting up an E hook with only one E left unseen. That could potentially cause Jason problems if he does not have the last E, which it turns out he doesn't. So there's a lot of really interesting options. The fact that Josh presumably does not see his bingo is actually making this a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any great paths to victory. We're going to watch Josh try to lob up the best Hail Mary he can find, but the best path to victory is just play the bingo this turn instead of praying for one next turn. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I don't think there's any question that Josh wins even again after giving those 5 points, that he wins most often by bingoing. Again, he's still going to be up 22 going into the end game with Haurient not taking an S. There aren't a ton of great scoring options for Jason on this board. If Josh can threaten an out on his next turn, he's probably winning in that end game the majority of the time, if not almost always. So I just don't see how a fish here wins more often than the bingo. But yeah, it's a really, really tough one to figure out in terms of the fish. So we've seen a lot of interesting options here. I think Kwa is reasonable, Tui is reasonable. Playing off UH somewhere else on the board, perhaps, probably not with Dub, but maybe even with Hewed for 8 points to the ED is not crazy. I mean, there's a lot of really tough options here, and it's tricky with 4 in the bag because there are a lot of different things that you can draw. It's a lot easier with 1 or even 2 in the bag to realistically go through all the possibilities. So it's brutal turn here for Josh if he doesn't see the bingo.
Yeah, he's played this game so well up until this point, and fierce comeback in some rough situations. But every single turn has to be done right in a game, and unfortunate that this is going to be the miss that costs him.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know for sure it's going to cost him. He could still end up winning this game after a fish, but it's certainly going to be a lot less promising, that's for sure. But and I also can't help but wonder if Josh does indeed miss this bingo and lose the game. And I do think, given what's in the bag, AEHR, without doing exhaustive computation, I'm guessing that would be flexible enough for Josh to win in the end game if he were to find Haurient. So that would be a game that would have been very winnable for Josh. That'll certainly not help his, as he himself admitted, the fact that he is on tilt. That's a really tough way to lose the game. But on the other hand, we've all been there. We all make mistakes, and it's tough. But yeah, I guess time is dwindling now. Josh under 3 minutes, so he's going to need to make a decision here, folks.
Yeah, I did run Jason's particular rack through, and in this iteration, Haurient wins for Josh every time as he pulls AEHR out of the bag and has an abundance of options. So he's not dead yet. If he finds the bingo, he wins the game, despite the challenge, despite everything else. He just hasn't played it yet, and he hasn't seen it yet. And I think he's about to throw the game on this turn, or perhaps just doing this all for fun, for the content.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome if Josh has seen it the whole time and is just trying to troll us, who are us helpless viewers here and commentators who are watching this stream, into believing he doesn't see it. But we'll see. He picks up. Okay, he moves his E and his H. Oh, he's looking at Quay now, I think. Quai. Interesting. So similar idea to the one Jackson set forth, but playing the I instead, which maybe he figures that this gives him a better chance to hit the I in Destiny, because then he wouldn't have another I on his rack, and there are a lot of vowels to be drawn. I don't think that's a crazy idea, and we could see him draw Hardier perhaps, or Heathier from the unseen pool, given what we know happens to be there. So this could potentially work pretty well for Josh. Also, by leaving 1 in the bag, it sort of forces Jason to empty it. So interesting idea there. It's very hard to know whether that's better than Qua or any of his other options. It's so hard to know. But in any case, time, like I said, is rapidly dwindling. Josh down to a minute. He's whatever he does, he's got to do it, and he's got to do it soon.
Yeah, Josh feels like he's lobbing up a Hail Mary here when you've got a slam dunk right in front of you, mixing two different sports metaphors. I'm so good at my job. I'll be here all weekend. But oh man, this is killer to watch, and just not all there for Josh. It seems this I think highlights too the challenge of hopping over to a new lexicon. The level of preparation it takes to get that good at a lexicon. Josh needs more time to get rock solid on the short stuff here.
Does he draw Hetira here? If he draws HAE, this could he doesn't. Yeah, that's unless there's a Collins only bingo here, I don't know, then looks like although Jason has to be Jason doesn't know. Jason has to be very careful because Josh is threatening Hardier through the I with an A draw and Hetira under the D in Destiny with an R draw, and both of those occur 2 out of 8 from Jason's perspective. So this is a coin flip. Jason, guys, is not going to be making this play quickly. Are there any other bingos that I may not know that Josh is threatening with that unseen pool? I'm going to look this up as we think about this position.
Yeah, I'm running it through now. So Hardier, Hetira, Earthier are the only 3. So if an R is in the bag, then Josh bingo's at the bottom. If an A is in the bag, then Josh bingo's on the right side. Each of those are 2 out of 8s. So Jason feels like I just have to pick one of these lines and hope that I guess right. Now, we know that Josh has neither of those plays. There's neither an A or an R in the bag, and Josh has no bingo. But Jason's brain is going to explode for the next 10 minutes. It's kind of where I wish there were a mercy clause in Scrabble. I could just show, hey, nobody's home. Can we just get the next 10 minutes of our life back? But Jason has a ridiculous decision to make here. We're going to have some time to kill. So, yikes. And we're going to see some fun facial expressions beneath those masks.
Yeah, I know, man. I've been in Josh's shoes right now where, you agonize over these brutal pre-endgame positions for a while. And we can talk about, too, the play Josh ended up making because we haven't addressed that HUI, keeping AERT, which I think is not a terrible idea, not really forcing anything else open. But again, noting that Jason cannot block both the D and the I. And as we're seeing here, Jason's going already. Wow, interesting.
All right,
yeah, he probably, maybe he already just realized what was going on and that he has to play the block the correct line either way, and that it's going to be a 2 out of 8, and he permuted all that, and he was like, well, there's no reason to keep thinking. I would still try to consider maybe an inference or based on Josh's last play what he's more likely to have, but I don't know. And
Josh's face why didn't you block Hetira? But, it was just as likely that Hardier was there from Jason's POV. So it looks weird to Josh. I see the face crinkle, but technically a reasonable decision. Just pick one of the lines and block it as best you can. Wait.
Exactly. Yeah. Josh also doesn't know what Jason had, right? That he was in the bag. So, yeah, it could be any number of things there. I'm not sure. Josh plays quickly because he has no time. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, well, I'm glad that Jason played quickly. If I were Jason, I would have used probably 9 more minutes of my clock. I will be the first to admit that. Just, desperately looking, is there a way I can somehow block both of these lines? Is there an inference I can draw? But I'm sure Josh, in any case, was just probably relieved. Maybe he was more just honestly surprised that Jason played so quickly is why he made the face. I don't know. But, yeah, like I said, it's no fun just sitting there knowing you don't have a bingo and you just want to be done. You just want to, get up and forget about that game and move on to your next one and just having to wait while your opponent agonizes because they, of course, don't know. So Josh at least saved the agonizing wait there. But, yeah, Jason going to end up winning this game. Another brutally unfortunate loss there for Josh. And I think the big question there, Matt, is was this close
close game, sure. Watching a North American champion miss a retina bingo, not so much. But I'll take the shot. Sure, we'll do it.
Yes, I would so.
No, the screen capture part, that was not
All right,
what I had initially signed up for. Hey, whatever. Let's provide the content. Get the Yucatan fired up. What's up?
You want to count us down?
We're gonna have to cut away from this game first in order to make that happen. I'm just tentatively agreeing that we're going to do this. All right, now we're gonna do this.
All right, let's go.
So we've got El Yucatan, crown gem of like Mexico and Texas. Let's do some of this. This stuff is so hot. I'm gonna die.
Mine is not quite as hot. Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, go back to the board. I'm gonna cry. Oh God! Oh my God! Yucatan. ¿Por qué? No.
I hope somebody took a screenshot of that. Please tell me somebody did. Whew.
Oh,
okay,
I'm crying.
I'm gonna have a little rubber, guys. 1 sec.
Let's see. I think we can get a little interview with Jason. I just need to recombobulate. That shot did a number on me.
Is
hot wings, here we
recombobulate
go.
a word? I know discombobulate. I've never heard that.
I don't know, but I'm using it in this context, and you know what it means. I'm the king of the pony. I can make up a word anytime, anywhere.
Oh man. Let me just. I'm also just.
Right.
I guess recombobulate, for lack of a better term here, but yeah, wow. I don't know what to say here, guys, about the ending of this game. Very, very unfortunate for Josh. I don't know if he's aware at this point of what he missed or what the two players are discussing exactly. But yeah, I would be curious to get Jason's thoughts on the Dam's turn. And just see, was he aware of the 2 out of 8 situation and just kind of figured that might as well choose one and go for it?
Yeah, we can ask about that, what he was thinking in the end game. We'll see about that turn. Trying to see what other turns really stood out from Jason's POV. Yeah, Whitehead was easy. Alouette, Gookie. Oh, the Cade play, perhaps. I don't think we want to ask about that one, though.
No, I think really the end of the game was just the most pivotal part. I think both players, had a few tough turns. I didn't love Josh's opening play of Zia personally, but overall, I think there were just a lot of stylistic decisions that could have gone either way for both players. But yeah, it was really as we see so often, guys, with Scrabble, right? It was towards the end of this game that it was won and lost.
And so we've got Jason Keller now on the headset. Jason, I know you can't see us, but Matt Canik and Mack Meller in the commentary booth guiding everybody through that one. That was a roller coaster of the game, one that gave us a lot of content. How do you feel after that one?
Well, I'd say it's been a slog this tournament. Very lucky, but happy to come away with this one.
Yeah. I mean, back and forwards too, just a roller coaster of emotions. You went from some pretty bad situations to some pretty awesome ones to some pretty dire ones, and then at the end, tell us your thought process as you went through your tracking after Josh's play of HUI.
Yeah, because I saw 2 possibilities for him. I saw Hardier through the I, and I saw Hetera hooking the D to make DA. And I know that, I don't know if anyone was like, why did he play the S? Because also a little bit the way my tournament's been going, I'm like, he's going to have Hetera. So I figured, I might as well play it. But I just had to pick one to block, and I picked the right one to block.
Yeah, you had to pick one to block and cross your fingers. Yep, it's
or actually, I drew an E. So actually, and it was actually in retrospect, he had neither. So.
Yeah. Nobody was home, but I just felt for you in the moment. I know Josh can be a tilt-inducing opponent in this head-to-head matchup, and the mental moment I connected with you of like, Josh.
I was going to say the tilt induction. The tilt induction is long in the past, to be honest. And honestly, I was really just focused on just kind of thinking through things and just. Just weighing things where I needed to. I do think that some of my plays were, kind of spoke for themselves, but.
Did Josh make you aware of how he blew this game right before the end?
No.
So HUI, he held AERT and had a bingo through the N and density.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Yes. So
I actually saw that as a
is-
possibility as well.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the
Yeah.
leave. That was the situation. And
Mhm.
Josh just, I did not see it in the moment, but that was a roller coaster of a game for us at home, watching Josh slowly back out of this bingo. But a well played game on your end, one that was fun to watch. I think the
Thank
big
you.
pivotal moment. Tell us about your thought process when you saw Josh put tune up down at the top of the board.
Well, I saw Textile and I saw Exit as well. And I just thought at that point, especially with the score, take your 66 points, both blanks are out. ILE is not great. Yeah, play it.
Yeah, turnover 6 tiles, go digging for a blank, score 66.
and then like I said, ILE is not I don't like L's. I've had a lot of L's and I's this tournament. Like,
yeah. So that the pivotal moment, as soon as Josh put tune up down, and we saw it gave you not one but 2 enormous plays, and then Textile, of course, I think the huge game changing moment here. That one was fun to watch. Mac, do you have a question for Jason while we got him?
Yeah, no, what a like Matt said, roller coaster of a game. I think Dams was probably the most pivotal turn, but I think you hit the nail on the head there, Jason. Right, you kind of just have to pray you hit the right one. Both of them were 2 out of 8 loss with 2 R's and 2 E's in the bag. So I'd say I give you a lot of credit for playing that quickly. I'll say I would have probably taken a lot more time just verifying I had the math right on that and making sure I couldn't block both of those. So definitely well done there on figuring that out. And I think the other turn I was a little curious about was when you played Cade with the Q. I saw you took a little while on that. It didn't feel completely automatic to play the Q. Were there any other Q you were considering?
Well, you know what? I was also considering I had footed leaving my QI, especially with none of the U's seen. Especially with the potential for that. Yeah, I did not think that was an automatic play. I was also, I don't know if you, I was under my breath muttering as I was drawing that I wish I had drawn the H for Theek, but I just said, well, footed. I can either like deal with the Q now, or I'm like gonna have to kind of look for it. So, look for something else that opens up. So, that was kind of what my thought process was there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and always a tricky decision to figure out when to jettison that queue versus when to hold on to it, and which candidate plays you're considering there. We are going to let you take a little bio break and get back to the action. Congrats on the big win over Josh Sokol. That one always feels good. And best of luck in the rest of the tournament, Jason. Thanks for the time.
Yes, thank you.
Good luck, Jason.
All right. And in a kind of turn of events, we were going to pivot to NWL before this round, but the players we were going to pivot to just kind of started their game already. And it looks like there aren't really NWL players who we can grab and put on the stream board. We're not going to interrupt a game in progress. So I think we're actually going to pivot back to Will Anderson, stay in the CSW division, and bring Will versus Dennis. I have to do just a smidge of setup, but that game coming in just a moment. Go ahead, Mac.
I'll say that's going to be a great game. Yeah, 2 of the highest, I think, highest ranked players coming into this tournament. And both of them, I believe, are having pretty strong performances as well. So yeah, that's sure to be a banger of a game. I think Will's track record and reputation speaks for itself. Dennis, a super strong player from Nigeria who's had a lot of top showings at Worlds and other big tournaments. So yeah, this one I think is going to be a very intense and high-level game. Also an important game. We're starting to get to the midway point of the tournament where the stakes are starting to heat up. The top players are starting to play each other more and more. So every game and every win and loss is starting to become more and more important. So I see Will is a little bit further down than Dennis in the standings. Dennis with a tie, which is interesting. You don't see that too often, but Will really needs this one, I think, I would say, to start catching up.
Yeah, it's a long tournament, but you can't let, that lost column pile up too much this early, or you're going to need a miracle run at the end to stay in it. So we've got Will, we've got Dennis, we've got action coming very shortly. The players are getting situated at the board as we speak. So not much more time to wait, but there is just enough time for you to hit that like button down below this video. I see we've had good numbers all day. Thanks to every single one of you for tuning in and watching, hanging out, watching Scrabble with us. We'll be here all weekend on Let's Play Scrabble. A lot more Scrabble to be played, and especially these next few days, we're going to see some great matchups between some great players from around the world. Hit that subscribe button if you're not there yet. Lots of Scrabble to be played, to be shown. All of these are going to be broken down into digestible VODs after the tournament. So give the channel a follow, give this video a like, and bump us up the algorithm as we fly into our final 2 games of the day. And let's get to it. Wanderer 15, Will Anderson versus Dennis. This is going to be a good one. And Dennis with the hood up is all business, knowing he's got a tall task in front of him, knocking off the American Will Anderson.
Absolutely. I can't wait for this one. This is going to be a really fun battle. Yeah, love the hoodie from Dennis. Definitely feels like the kind of thing I would maybe do under some circumstances too. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say superstitious, but definitely care about what I wear during big games and stuff at tournaments. So love to see the apparel choice from both players. Like the purple pullover from Will too. I think it should be a really fun game, and Dennis is going to be first on the left, and we will see what he pulls.
Players from Africa were on fire this morning on the stream as well, averaging over 500 points a game. We'll see if Dennis can keep that fire going this afternoon. This is how you start. Scholler drawn on the first rack, the only 7 in this rack. Going to double up that H, 78 points, all business for Dennis here, 78-0. EITT, another D, another E, and a B. B-D-E-E-I-T-T, the rack for Will, and he's
I think Bitter is the only one.
Right back. Go ahead, Mac.
We'll say Bittered. Is there anything else? I don't think so.
There is Betitled through the L as well. 2 66-point bingos available to Will, Bittered or Betitled, and he'll play one of these. I think Bittered slightly better, but they're close.
Yeah, I think Bittered is slightly safer as well. The B is easier to overlap on the back because B-A, B-E, B-I, B-O, and B-Y all valid, whereas on the front it is a lot harder. A-B, actually O-B also in Collins, just A-B and N-W also a little easier in Collins, but still considerably tougher. B-titled, I believe, is Collins only, so I will use that as an excuse for not finding it before, but in any case, Will going with Bittered, so bingo start, which is going to be very conducive to an open board, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because Will is definitely an open board specialist. He's a player, one of the players I know the best, both personally and as a player over the board, and he loves to show off his incredibly strong word knowledge and bingo finding on open boards. Dennis, I don't know his specific play style as well, but I do know that the majority of the African players prefer the tighter boards. And let's see, we see Chromie here from
he's missed 2 bingos here. He's rushed this turn. He's got Dormancy and Mordancy. He'll play through the A. He's rushed the turn. He's dropped Chromie too fast. A missed bingo for Dennis. This should be bingo, bango, bongo. And instead, points left on the table. A big rushed decision there. And that could be a pivotal moment in this game when we look back on it.
Indeed, yeah. Dennis playing extremely fast. There, another theme we saw it from Bright in the first game. Definitely rushed a couple decisions early on. Very costly miss, and that's also something too that Dennis needs to be careful. If he somehow thinks of it during the game, that's something that can be extremely tilt-inducing and cause you to get off kilter. So if Dennis happens to realize on this turn or a future turn that he missed that, he needs to, as best as he can, it's not easy, put that out of his mind and try to move on. Also, keep in mind, Chromie takes a sneaky backhook. It takes an L for Chromil, a little tough to spot. Will the players be aware of it? Probably so, but let's keep that as a possibility. Will with a bunch of one-pointers here. I'm not seeing a playable bingo, so probably something next to Chromie looks reasonable, like Nay, N-E-E, keeping a strong lead with E-O-R-T. Am I missing anything here, Matt?
It's just going to be OE or EE or NEE or some kind of overlap right next to Chromie as you spot it. These turns are challenging, and so much of what you do comes down to what you're going to end up drawing. ENORT and EENRT are extremely similar leaves. A lot of players gut instinct would say, well, undouble the E's, but they're actually really awesome together in that combination. So I think OE or EE, maybe a slight preference to EE just to keep this line a little bit more dynamic and easier to hit with the tiles you're holding on to. And that's exactly what Will's opted to do as Mac and I break it down. I love how predictably good these players are. They are so consistent in hitting the right plays on these intermediate turns. They make my job so easy. ADINST now for Dennis, 110 to 83, though it should be a bigger margin had he not missed the bingo last turn.
And Will has probably about 206 bingos on his next rack here, so...
Yeah, Erection, I've got it right now, plays excellently right there too. Double doubles through the tee. He's going to have a lot of points next turn, a lot of flexibility. Great rack for Will.
Absolutely, and Dennis, of course, does not know that. Don't believe he has a playable bingo here, so another one of these really awkward turns, and it's been a recurring theme today. When you have a bunch of one-pointers on your rack, it often means you have a bingo, but when you don't have a bingo, it means you don't have a scoring opportunity. So Dennis is going to play... Dant, it looks like, which I presume takes an S. Assuming it does, that looks like a very solid play. It scores about as well as he's going to score, sets up his S nicely. An INS is a very solid 3-tile leaf. So it looks like a pretty fine option there for Dennis. And now Will just has to figure out what he wants to go with. So Erection is going to be 79. Doubles through the T are going to be 78, if my math is correct.
Yeah, that is correct. One other play down from the E, Orionite, Erionite, also plays here for 79, but Will's got to make a decision between one of these two plays. Nice to get to make these decisions. Do I double for 78 or hit that triple word square for 79? But when you draw Orient and a blank, these are the kinds of decisions you get to make, the happy ones in Scrabble. Mac, do you have a preference between these two?
Yeah, let's see. So Will be taking a lead, but he's actually down 50 here already. So he's not going to be taking a massive lead, and it will be Dennis's turn. So I wouldn't be playing this as if I were trying to play significant amounts of defense, more so than usual. I guess there's pros and cons to each, right? So if playing through the T does block the I and the T as floaters, which are both pretty dangerous. Playing down from the E doesn't really block a whole lot other than the dance hook, which there's a decent chance Dennis does have, and it opens some floaters on the bottom. So probably all else being equal, playing through the T with something like Cornetti, Cornetti, is a little bit safer, especially a play like Cornetti that does not take an S. Only 1 point to give up is not particularly much, so I would personally be leaning towards doing that.
Yeah, but both great options. Dennis has pulled a very nice rack into his INS leave after Dant. He's got the 7-letter Sinopia, Sinopia, as well as a number of possible 8s depending on the play Will makes here. So got bingos early, and we're going to get bingos again back-to-back here unless something nuts happens.
Yeah, it looks like Will is going with, we'll want a blank designation here, either snottier or naughtier. It doesn't make a huge difference. I guess the K is a little bit better because it's slightly tougher to overlap, but not a big difference either way. A very similar idea to my suggestion of Cornetti. I actually slightly prefer Cornetti because this does float an E and an R for Dennis, but not a huge deal. And I expect that we are going to see Sinopia come down for Dennis. The question is where. So he can play it. I see with Dance, he can play it next to Bitterd, right, with DI. So EE does not take an S, right? So I don't believe he can play it there. So those are his two choices, unless I'm missing something else.
No, just the two playable bingos, Sinopia right here for 70 points or right here for 67 points. Both of these is a yikes for different reasons. You never want to expose the triple, especially if you're about to take a lead. but this just gives back so many different opportunities here or stacks here. Neither of these makes you feel very good, but a simulation has them miles apart with one option 9 points ahead of the other.
I'm going to bet that the simulation likes playing on the right next to Biddard because typically the simulation doesn't mind, I find, putting tiles in triple lines, especially early in the ward like that where it's not right next to a double letter, whereas the play of Sinopia, like Matt was just saying, under Danza, gives back massive underlaps. So the absolute worst case scenario is not as bad because Will can't triple, but it's not likely, especially after drawing 7 random tiles, that Will triple. And the medium case scenario, which happens much more often, is considerably worse after the other placement. So Dennis makes, at least according to Sim, and what I would agree with, is the correct choice here.
Okay, Will has drawn a really interesting rack. I hope we get to spend a lot of time breaking this down. He should not rush this turn. He has a lot of high scoring options and a lot of tiles with the potential to set up more tiles. A down in the triple line looked really appealing at first, but the points he has on this board lie elsewhere. He's got a number of plays alongside Sinopia. PYX is massive, but so is FAX in the same spot. And FAX sets up his Y to hit Oxy next turn. He's also got Wafery for a massive score up here, holding on to that X to cash next turn. He has a lot of different plays and a lot of different ways to set himself up. This is going to be a challenging turn. Mac, is there anything that jumps out to you right away between those options?
I think the only thing that jumps out to me is that, like Will is doing, I would definitely have my chin resting on my hand here and be thinking long and hard, because this is the type of rack that it just feels like there should be something really good, because you have a lot of scoring tiles. They go reasonably well together, and it's a type of rack where mistakes are going to be very costly because you could be leaving a lot of points on the table with all of that firepower. But of the options that you suggested there, I'm not a huge fan of Wafery. PX is not a bad leave, but it just it doesn't feel like you're really setting yourself up in the best way. And the other options do still score considerably more. Fax is really interesting for that Oxy setup. Of course, Ox does take a back O as well, of which there are still 4 in the bag. So Dennis with a decent chance to have that O. On the other hand, there are enough other spots on the board, such as the A on the bottom, most obviously, that could be attractive to Dennis. So I think whether Dennis has an O or not has a reasonable chance to stay open, and the downside is not that great. On the other hand, PYX keeps a slightly more flexible leave probably and scores, without doing the exact math, probably 6 or 8 more points at least immediately for Will. So tough call here. Fax just looks so strong. I mean, WYE is almost 50 again on your next turn, and he's really piling up the scoring. So I think I'm leaning towards Fax here if you make me choose.
Yeah, Fax 56 points, or PYX, or Fax is 46 points, Pix 55 points. So both great options here. Maybe other plays up here. The Collins only AWFY is an option for 38. Just kind of set up a bunch of explosive opportunities to try to crush that X next turn. But I think Will's going to be forced to play one of the 3s here. Those are just so much better, I think, than anything else. Will he opt for the setup play, or will he just crush the spot 55 right now? A tough decision for Will.
Yeah, and Will does have Fax lined up. I think that using the X now best. You have a great X play. There's no guarantee that you will after one of the other plays, and I think the board is really good for the X now. And EPWY is actually a pretty good leave. I mean, sure, you're not going to bingo very often, but those tiles are high scoring and they go pretty well together. Besides the setup, I mean, he has a great chance of drawing stuff like Weepy for over 40 above the ER. And we actually don't know yet if that's Snottier or Naughtier, I believe. Probably not going to be relevant, but would be good to find out at some point. I'm leaning towards Fax here. It looks like Will is too. The leave after picks of FAEW is still not bad, but it just doesn't feel quite as potent as EPWY. The WY combo is stronger than the WF combo, and with understandably some hesitancy. Will is going to make what we agree is his best play.
Yeah, this does simulate best by about a half a point over PYX, and each of those far ahead of the other options. This is now a little bit of a gut check here for Dennis. He's got two playable bingos here, Wenchinng, Winchinng, both valid. And both of those are fives he definitely knows, but it's really hard to remember which fives do and don't turn into verbs with both of those available. He also has the option to pass on both of them. Whang is 42 holding C and blank, but he's opting to play the bingo here. We see that he's designating the blank an I. If he were more certain on wenching with an E, 71 is here, but 66 points blank I is what we're seeing from Dennis here. Mac, this bingo, or would you pass up on it to play Wang here?
Wow, that is an interesting decision. Yeah, I didn't even consider Wang at first. I was just looking at Winching and Wenching, as was Dennis. So even game, you're either going up about 40 holding C and blank, or you're going up low to mid 60s holding a random rack. It's tough, but you have the case blank, setting up the SFIC potentially for Wangs, which you can use with the blank. Decent bingo potential with the R and Snottier. This winching does give back a decent amount of overlaps under the W. It's very close. I almost like Wang, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think definitely a turn that at least deserves more thought before jumping in. Although if you're uncertain or a little bit uncertain of this word, the faster you play it and the more gusto you put it down with, the less likely it is to get challenged. So a very complex turn there, but another turn that we kind of put an asterisk next to. This is one we want to go back and analyze or look at after the game. Will has drawn into PREVE, PERVE, both options here for 47, and they preserve the Y to draw into YAG or YUG over here. I think those are no-brainer plays for Will. The setup maybe not going to pay a dividend this turn, but he's still going to hold on to it for next turn.
Yeah, that looks great to me. And the big question here, does winching take an S? I don't believe it does in NWL, but I know a lot of boards, and it does not. Okay, because Dennis would have alleges there. He also does have a playable 8 through the B in Bittered, which I won't spoil yet in case some of the viewers on stream want to look for, but that is certainly, I have to imagine, well, actually might get blocked because I see Will also considering Weepy now, presumably above the ER and Snottier, but I definitely prefer the plays on the bottom left because they score more and keep that Y for Oxy. So we'll see what Will goes with here, but I think his first instinct was probably more accurate.
Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, Weepy and Perv are pretty close in terms of valuation, but this is not a vacuum. This is real life, and in real life, one of the plays holds the Y to go here, and the other one does not, and that puts it head and shoulders ahead. Simulation has Perv or Preve far above the next best play, 8 points of valuation Will would be leaving on the table after a simulation here.
Yeah, and we know he saw it before. He's just probably looking and just really thinking about what his most viable paths to victory are. Because like you said, RV is a better leave in a vacuum than WI. Certainly more likely to bingo, especially with an E in Bittered. He could potentially start a word with, say, with REV. But I think Will needs to recognize here that the Perv or Preve are 47 points. That gets him to within 16 with a great potential to score 40 points with Oxy on his next turn. He does not need to bingo here, but his decision here, which we don't believe is optimal, is actually going to pay dividends because Dennis is going to have Gabels through the B blocked. And to the best of my knowledge, with legalese not fitting now and winching's not good, Dennis does not have a playable bingo.
Yeah, this is a huge swing of events. And I think maybe Will's rationale there is even with 40 points here and 40 points here, there are enough other possible spots to score on this board that he's not going to catch up without a bingo. So I think maybe he's opting to get some extra floaters, bring some extra life into this board. And crucially, he's going to block Gabels. No playable bingos now for Dennis. a huge turn. Will kept his chances alive as Gabels was going to end this one. And Dennis has to show us that he's seen it. Understandably frustrated right now. This turn becomes far harder for him. Initially, Glace, Glace, jumps out to me as an option. Gley, another option here, or perhaps Agly, if stacking a G here makes you nervous. And doesn't make Dennis nervous. AELS is an awesome leave as well. So Gley going to be the play here for Dennis. Puts him ahead 294 to 250. DEIKRTV, a clunky pull for Will, but lots of points to be scored at the bottom of this board. Dick is 39 points. Dirk, DIRKE, is 50. Mac, which of those should Will play here?
Gotta be Dirk, I have to imagine, because he's still down 94, and if he were to play Dick, he's down a couple points and a tempo still. He's not in a great position. The board is really not all that good for bingoing now. He does have the E embittered, but it's not that easy to hit. And I think the bottom left spot is not going to stay open forever. After Dick, it becomes the premium scoring spot on the board, and Dennis is likely to play there and reclaim a lead. Dirk is great because it puts that D in the triple line on the left as a bingo threat for Will. And being still at a bit of a disadvantage, I think it's good for Will to create that. Even if he doesn't feel he's that likely to hit it, it can absolutely be something that gets into Dennis's head and induces him to maybe sacrifice more than he should to block. So I'm playing Dirk all the way here if I'm Will.
Yeah, a very tough turn and a very important turn. It feels like this game is a lot closer to over than it is, but still 36 unseen from Will's POV. There's a lot of Scrabble still to be played here. Will's got to make sure he doesn't get walled in, but he's got to continue to put scoring pressure on. Dirk would give him a lead in this game. And my general rule of thumb is, hey, if I can take the lead, I'll pick the play that gives me the lead. So it feels better than being behind.
Yeah, no, I totally agree here. And I will say, too, the point about the G, I feel like maybe Dennis wasn't too worried about it because there's only one N left per potential ING bingos, and it is extremely hard, not impossible, but extremely hard to bingo to a G without an IN to go before it. So I do agree with Gley there. I think that was the more dangerous spot than blocking the C, and the A is certainly nice for him to keep on his leave. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, the board is getting a little tight. But with the score as close as it is, I don't really think Will needs to can't panic. And he's looks like in the lineup drive, which I do prefer Dirk. I don't hate this, though, because actually the CK combo goes really well on the bottom. And the K is a much better scoring tile than the V on this board. The problem is I now think Dennis is extremely likely to play there, unless he has a bingo here, which I am not seeing. Then I expect we'll see something like Feist through that C pretty quickly on Dennis's end here.
Yeah, I think I like the decision to keep the C. That's some great synergy if you do end up getting a play up here or over here for some reason, or I think plays here happen reasonably often as well. But I don't know, that you left 6 points on the table there. That's tough. Will has found the Q and one of the 4 remaining U's. The unseen pool has a lot of vowels and a lot of dreck. I think the end of this game, we're going to see some nasty stuff, some nasty draws. Dennis AEFILRS has no playable bingos, 39 pointers through the C and winching. Feist or Face are clearly, I think, the two standouts here. There is a fun opportunity to play FOXIE and try to set yourself up for the stuff behind it. But I think that's perhaps a little bit too aggressive in a game. Dennis is still over 50% to win. We don't need to open that level of volatility. Face or Feist seem to be good choices here.
Yeah, I would agree. Probably Feist over Face. Generally, the I is just a better val to keep, or the A is a better val to keep than the I. It's just more flexible and less problematic when it's duplicated. Now, did we find out, I'm sorry, is the blank in Nadir, is that a K or an S? Because if it is an S, then Will could be threatening quite there, but if it's a K, then it is a K. Okay, thank you very much. So we now know Will doesn't have any massive threats over there. Of course, there is Quick through the C in winching for 63, but that is going to get blocked with Feist, which I totally agree with here for Dennis.
Yeah, so Feist coming down, taking away the opportunity to play quick, but 48 points still available for Will. I expect to see this soon. That would be with Quonk, Quonk, through the N and Nautier, Eikotqu, the rack for Will, and I think Quonk easily is best choice. By static evaluation, 13 points above anything else he can do here.
Yeah, that I definitely just learned a new word there, and yeah, that looks like a great play. ITE, 13 vowels, 15 consonants. ITE, maybe one more vowel than I'd like to keep, ideally speaking, but it's not too bad. There's only 2 more I's left, so he has also Will has the last E, guys. Let's keep that in mind. That could become very, very important. I think people do maybe fixate on E's a little more than they should sometimes, but when it's the last E this early in the game, that really does carry a lot of weight because the E's are by far the best vowel for bingoing or just for unloading tiles and general flexibility. So definitely want to watch that. Will should not play off this E unless doing so is going to significantly improve his play. And Quonk, of course, retains the E. So that looks good. This Oxo spot, interestingly, still has never been used. And I guess right now there just really isn't much for Will to do with it. Quonk would shed his O, but with the G there, that does limit the utility of that spot. So I think we're going to see Quonk come down, and here we go.
All right, so Will drops Quonk. He scores a whole bunch of points with that. I just messed up the score bug. Give me just a moment. Oh, boy. Don't break the stream, Matt. You can do this.
And
There we
Dennis
go.
has drawn...
Will is ahead, 342, 333. Dennis's turn, AALRSUV. Mac, I'll let you break this one down.
Yeah, Dennis has drawn, I would say, fairly poorly, all things considered, but he has lined up what it looks to be a great play here. GU and Ulva for 28. He's going to play it quickly, which looks great to me. Awesome leave. Gets rid of your Drek. Definitely want to get rid of that U with 2 more still to come. So, yeah, can't really argue with that one.
Yeah, Ulva coming down. And again, the what we've seen from the African players is when they've got these turns, they hammer them down very quickly and just keep that time pressure on. 17 minutes on Dennis's clock again in this one. But I think finally for the first time in this one, we've seen that if you're going to play the brash, fast brand, you can't make misses. And finally, we did see the miss on Dormancy and Mordancy early this game. We'll see if the time is a factor for Will as he takes down to 7 minutes on his clock in a tight game. DEGITUZ, and Will is going to have to figure out what to do here. This turn, the more I look at the options, the more crazy I think it's going to be. There's nothing good for Will to do. Everything is terrifying for one reason or another.
Yeah, that's a little bit validating because I've been looking the whole time you've been talking, and I have not found anything I think is good at all. So I'm glad to know that I'm not missing anything. Yeah, so he's down 19. Still got that last E. The pool is it's kind of bad, but also kind of well balanced at the same time. So I have no idea. Maybe how about ads from the E and shoulder, ADZ? That looks reasonable. Or would this be crazy? How about RID from the R and Chromie setting up ads and ZE for 64? Is that crazy?
Is that crazy? I wonder if that gets sniffed out. RID would set up ZE, but that is such a strange looking play. ID also fit right here for a major score.
Do Dites to the ES, actually. That even more sneakily sets up ZEN for more points and gets rid of one more tile. That's better, right? If you play Dites over there.
Right here. Yeah. Ooh, that looks a little bit less fishy. And then the ZE would be able to drop down underneath. That's potential here. Wow. I think one big thing to think about if you're Will is that 10 vowels left. And the player who draws them is going to be the player who can't score points in a game where every point is going to matter. So I'm looking to try to play off vowels anywhere I can, whether or not I hold the Z. I care more about trying to dodge vowels, but Dites and then ZE, even if I draw the vowels, that might be such a high-scoring sequence that I don't care. DEGU is an option up here that takes a back S and a back M, and would backfire extremely hard in this iteration. I don't know that we'll see Will play that, but There are no good plays here. ZE for 35 is wild. Maybe we see an attempt at a setup. Otherwise, just it seems like everything is awful. PIZE or PIZED score points, but on a tight board, you just can't expose that opportunity. Wow,
Yeah,
hard
it's worth
for Will.
too, as has been pointed out in the chat, Dennis does have a playable bingo here. It is not mortars; it is rearmost through the E and bittered, overlapping re. So Dennis has not put that on his racket. It'll be interesting to see if he does spot that. We saw him miss that spot earlier for wenching. If I guess Dites would not block it because Rets is still valid. Some of the plays from the P that you were talking about, Matt, would block it. Degu, or however you pronounce that, would absolutely end in disaster with mortars and degum for about 90 coming down for an instant GG, basically. So, yeah, Will, time is going to become a factor, too, because this game is not going to get any easier as we get into the end game. There's still 13 in the bag. There is a lot to still think about, and Will is under 4 minutes. So, yeah. Well, he has UD, I think. He's probably landing a Jew over there, which is
I think this is good.
yeah. I'm not. It scores okay. I'm not really sure what it accomplishes really in terms of the. Like, so, oh, he's doing it. Let's go.
He's done it. He's
Right.
done it. All right. Let's see if I can draw some sunglasses on Will here.
Yeah, that's even better. I'm not gonna
Nice
lie.
job.
Wasn't aware that RUD was valid. Yeah, that's a much better play than Dites to get rid of the U. And like you said, Matt, not necessarily make as obvious to Dennis what he's doing, because now Oxid is not obvious as an alternative. Dennis does not know that Will had an I. And here's the great thing as well. Even if Dennis is aware of what Will is doing, it's not like Dennis can just block for a lot of points. He's going to have to score very little to block. And then Will gets a free turn to do so. And he's drawn agatized for 107.
Oh my goodness. Agatized for 107.
110, excuse
I
me.
don't think that gets blocked.
And he,
So
Dennis misses
no.
rearmost. Okay, wow. I mean, he should probably still play rearmost even if he sniffs out the setup.
Yeah, I think he's
And
missed the bingo here, but well done to deduce the setup. Although Will wasn't setting this part up, the AA draw gives him agatized, and Dennis just sinks down in the chair. He sniffed out the setup. You can't expect this.
And but Dennis is going to get smarting, and Will's going to pull the J. Hold on here, guys. Is the bag going to be, how many are left?
9 in the bag from Dennis's POV. Will's going to draw.
Still win, because if Will were going to empty the bag and get caught with the J, Dennis would be winning. Holy cow. So Is this still correct here? So Will is up 90. I mean, I think Dennis has it,
86.
right?
I don't know. Playing it loses, right? Playing it loses every time. Dennis has a tie. Maybe you play to win here.
But
you at least use at least 10 of these units.
You have to score. I mean, and draw something in 2 spots. Maybe does Oxim ever draw something in 2 spots? Like, what if you play Oxim and draw IO? Does that win for roasting? Oh, man. I would need a lot more time to look at this. But probably I think the problem, Matt, is just Joe and Bo next to Biddard for Will is going to win. And either Dennis draws the J and can't bingo, or Will has the J and just plays Joe and wins. I think that's the problem. I don't think that's winnable for Dennis. I honestly don't. I think this is fine.
Yeah, I looking at it a little bit longer, I mean, I would take the time and see if there's anything. But yeah, with the J and a bunch of options to score with it, Will's likely to just be able to outrun any attempt to sidestep and bingo out.
Yeah.
So the bingo makes it 4 points, and Dennis is going to draw IO out of the bag, but this is still Will's game. A number of different paths to victory. Just look to shed the J off your rack and grab a handful of points. Best endgame for Will is BAJUS right here, or just BAJU in the same spot. But go ahead and put the S on it since you know that Dennis is going to go out. Whoa, that got very interesting very fast.
I think we're going to be doing another hot sauce shot, Matt. Wow, that was wild. Yeah,
when you make sacrifices The tile gods, they are pleased, and I will happily sacrifice my taste buds once again as a thank you for this game. This was awesome.
Yeah, wow, what an ending! I was so proud of Will for coming up with that red idea. Yeah, just basically an improvement on the idea I had for the setup, getting rid of the U, and yeah, like I said, I mean, probably Dennis should still bingo through the E there if he sees it and let Will have his Z play, but credit to him for sniffing that out. That is not easy to do. And yeah, I mean, just a crazy turn of events there. Will needed that draw because he wasn't going to block that L. If he didn't hit Agatized, then Dennis was going to bingo and most likely win this game. So yeah, Will here with a minute left basically just needs to do something reasonable with his J and not phony. I think he has Puja lined up from the P, which would get the job done. But man, it's going to be a high scoring game. Definitely, I would say Will did outplay Dennis in this one. Dennis with a couple of costly misses there that did come to bite him at a few points in the game. But yeah, so maybe, I mean, we do see Dennis finishing this game with 15 minutes and change on his clock. So quite a lot still left there. And yeah, maybe a lesson that playing fast does have its benefits, but you also do run the risk of missing things that you maybe would see if you just took a few more seconds. So tough stuff there for Dennis.
Yeah, definitely some things to be learned from this game. Dormancy, Mordancy, a hard rack. You don't think often to, oh, Will's going to miss Baju and play Pujas here. But yeah, I don't know. Those are tough to spot, but I think a little bit slowing down and then rearmost as well. I don't know if he could have played rearmost, but I don't think he saw it at all to make that decision. He just thwacked the Z spot. So perhaps something to be said about slowing down and making sure you're precise as possible. In any case, I'm glad we got an awesome game in the booth that came right down to the end. Pujas is going to give Will 30 additional points, bringing his final score up to 491. And then we're going to see IO as the outplay from Dennis. That'll make this a 10-point game. 481 to 491 in favor of the streamer, Will Anderson. He's not a streamer. He's a video guy, YouTuber. There we go.
Man, what a game. Yeah, crazy stuff here. And I mean, Will played, I would say, basically flawlessly this game too. So major credit to him. And I mean, look, Dennis did make a couple mistakes, but Will needed to play a really good game to win. We see he's only going to win by 10 points, and he absolutely delivered. I don't think there was anything, maybe Weepy, actually, I would have done a little bit differently, but it certainly worked out for him, and it had its merits. Other than that, though, I mean, Will made some awesome plays. I think for me, the star play was Rudd. And he got very handsomely rewarded for that. Just really awesome vision, kind of Nigel Richards-esque, I would say there. But yeah, man, what a game!
What a game. Yeah, I've already gone ahead and put the final in, but technically Dennis has not made the play yet. Perhaps going to retrack. Maybe he's going to figure out if he can just plunk the O, OXO, and then go out with the I, slow play this with QI next. But Will made sure he left himself outplays next turn. He's not going to get stuck. We'll let Dennis do his tracking, but we know in the commentary booth that he's sunk here.
Yeah, but Dennis, he does have 15 minutes. It is an important game. He's absolutely well within his rights to do this, and just make sure, double check to see what Will has. If Will has an unplayable V or something, then maybe Dennis could potentially slow play Oxo and Chi for 31 total and eke this one out. But yeah, of course, Will has Lob, which will score a lot next to the AS and Pujas. And yeah, he can play something like Bola to the A and Ova if somehow Dennis were to try to block that. So yeah, Will completely winning here. But Dennis, like I said, just doing his due diligence here as he absolutely should, and just making sure that really his best option here is to go out and take this brutal 10-point loss.
Yeah, how many bingos are on this board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bingos.
Seven.
Crazy stuff.
Right? Smarting, Snottier, Bitter, Shoulder, Winching, Sinopia, and Agatized. I think I'm counting 7.
Oh, I missed Sinopia. Yeah, 7 bingos in this game and like 950 points. What a barn burner. I am happy, even though my taste buds are not, that we made the sacrifice. This is worth it.
Yeah. I guess we'll probably make our second sacrifice. Do we want to do it in Will's presence, or do we want to do it after we talk to Will? I guess we should decide that.
I am not going to be able to conduct a reasonable interview while recovering from El Yucateco Part 2. So let's do the interview or the hot sauce shot after that.
All right, you bet.
I want to go through and find or run a bot or have someone write a script and figure out how often people get, like, I call them the 1-1 draw, like the first overall pick. If you could rank every possible draw, you got literally the number one option, because I think after Will's play of RUD holding EGITZ, there is no better draw for Will in the bag at all than A. If you could give him the opportunity to reach into the bag and choose any two tiles, I think he would choose AA. Both the blanks were played. I think Will had literally the best possible draw after RUD. And I wonder how free that happens.
There wasn't even another E for egotized. So, yeah, wow, that's actually wild. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, this happened to me a few games ago where somehow I pulled oxazines. Like, I set up an O here and then drew XAZINES. And I was like, I literally couldn't have picked a better rack. And it played in two spots too. It's just like, Scrabble is insane sometimes. But, of the million possible combinations you can draw, one of them is the absolute best. How often does that happen?
Yeah. It sure is. Yeah, I know I've had examples like that. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I mean, it's always more exciting when it's early in the game. I mean, it happens pretty often, say in the pre-end game, if you go for a fish with one tile in the bag and you hit a 1 in 8 or maybe even a 1 in 36. Those kind of things are always super satisfying, but not so earth-shattering from a purely mathematical sense. But yeah, like the oxazines example, when with so many tiles in the bag, when there are, as Matt said, literally thousands or in some cases millions of potential combinations, and you actually draw the optimal one. That is always a sight to behold.
And that's what it took for Will to get this one. I think the pivotal draw of Agatize took a situation where he was in dire straits and flipped this game right on its head.
Yeah, and to answer the questions in the chat, Will has not officially won, as Dennis's clock is still running, so he's still just checking out some stuff in the end game. But yes, Will win, because the best Dennis can do is go out with IO next to the A and S and Pujas, making AI and SO, which would score 14, bringing him to 471. Dennis would get 10 more points from Will's rack, bringing him to 481, which is still 10 fewer than Will has. So yes, Will win this game.
And we'll try to get you thoughts from Will about this game as he's able to take this time and kind of decompress what was a roller coaster of a game for him. We'll get some of his thoughts, and then I think the plan is to pivot over to the NWL division after this, where we will see I think our only NWL game of the day. One round to go here in Albany. I'll double check with the team on the ground. It's possible that these divisions are so staggered at this point that CSW is all we can grab. But we'll see what our production team says. I think the plan to go to one NWL game before we end for today. But Scrabble will be here all weekend on Let's Play Scrabble. The stream will continue tomorrow morning and run all day Sunday as well. This is a 27-game tournament, and we are just 14 rounds in. So tune in tomorrow, tune in Sunday. I will be holding down the commentary booth all weekend with a rotating crew of co-commentators. I think this weekend we're bringing in Charles Reinke and really trying to do a focus on CSW play because of the star-studded field we have. But lots of Scrabble right here on Let's Play Scrabble. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. All we're going to show here is a bunch of Scrabble. And if you're already watching Scrabble with us on this Friday, you want more, don't you? We've got more. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate having you. Dennis finally understanding that this game is done. He double checks his tracking, but yeah, he's got to understand IO is the best he can do, puts it down, and after getting the BOL from Will, the final on this one, 481 to 491. So interview coming with Will just as soon as they get the paperwork, but probably a little bit of a post-mortem from these players as they want to talk through a few of these crazy turns here.
Yeah, Wow. Yeah, I'm sure. I know if I were in either of these players' shoes, I would definitely have a lot of questions for my opponent on some of those decisions. And I mean, both players, I guess, really Will especially took his time on a lot of plays during the game. Dennis didn't, and he may be ruining that right now as he, I believe, pulls out his phone and checks some of his racks. But yeah, going forward to our next game, we will, of course, be talking to our winner of this game, Will Anderson, and getting his thoughts after the players finish their paperwork. And then Matt and I will be making our second sacrifice to the Scrabble gods in the form of hot sauce shots. And then after that, we will be pivoting. I do have confirmation from our production team. We will be pivoting to NWL, where we will be showing a match between Joey Kraftchick and Eric Goldstein, who are both having really good tournaments. Right now, Joey is in second place, Eric in fifth place. These guys are both really strong players. I know they both are good friends and really know each other well too. So it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I always enjoy having Eric on stream. He's a great guy, a good sport, a lot of fun to have around. And Joey, very talented NWL player. He's always a treat to watch as well. So that's coming up for you next. But as soon as we can get that headset on Will, we'll get a little bit of commentary, and perhaps we'll see a little bit more of this broken down on Will's YouTube channel. For those unfamiliar, Will has a big YouTube channel. It probably brought several of you here today. Find him on YouTube. Will Anderson is the channel. He puts out some great content. And Will, this is Matt, joined by Mack Meller in the commentary booth. Thank you for that treat of a game. That was fantastic to watch. Just give us your initial thoughts on that roller coaster.
It's a shocker for sure. Definitely felt like I was a bit behind for most of the game and needed a huge break at the end there. So hard, just sort of just breathing now for the first time in about 25 minutes. So
yeah, we were talking how you probably appreciated that time that Dennis took at the end of that game to recount, rehash, because that was an emotional roller coaster, up and down, left and right. We want to walk through just a couple of these turns because almost every position you had was fascinating this game. Starting with turn 4, FAX. Talk about that.
yeah, so there wasn't anything good through the A of Sinopia that had just been opened, at least that I saw. There's always a possibility that I missed something, but for me, it was basically down to Fax and maybe I don't know if it's more normal looking Waxy off of where I eventually played Weepy. Waxy is, I mean, it seems kind of normal there, but I just felt like Fax setting up the Y, if he happens to not have an O, it's quite annoying to deal with that. I have YWP on my rack. Of course, I have an E to go with it. But there's certainly a good chance that I draw an A and play Yawp there if he plays something going into the A of Sinopia instead of through it. So it just felt like a move that had kind of good 2-turn follow-up, and I went with it. I'm not really sure. It actually was funny because it never got used. But yeah, I don't know what everybody thought about that one, but my gut said to go for it. So.
Yeah, super
I
cool
think
position there. The other play maybe to consider, but they simmed neck and neck, was PYX in the same spot. But this set up that Y so well that we thought perhaps that was part of the deliberation.
Yeah, somehow never considered that one. Unfortunately, that seems pretty strong. So, yeah, that's probably a better leave. Wish that one would have crossed my mind. At least I happened to stumble on a play that I guess is similarly strong. So.
Yeah, this one actually won the sim, so we were there were so many options that turn too, like 8 of them that were all awesome, and I'm like, this play's gonna break Will's brain, and then I think we snuffed it out, of course, and Dennis as well, but RUD trying to set up that Z, I presume, was part of the decision there.
The thinking there, yeah, is that it's very obvious that Dennis is going to see the Z setup. What I'm hoping to do, I had noticed with the unseen pool that there are actually 4 A's. So if I'm able to pick 2 A's, I'm threatening that massive bingo. But moreover, if I could just pick the N, I will draw into Zingle to the L of Glay. So with that leave, I can just pluck the N and threaten a pretty big play. And the nice thing is that Dennis is kind of forced to block it, but he can't. It's kind of a delaying move. He can't really score very much as he blocks it. So it doesn't feel like he's going to be super much far ahead after blocking the Z setup. I really just couldn't find a play using the Z that I liked very much. I was almost going to play ads in that spot, but the leave was so weak and it just didn't feel like I drew into enough bingos. So this felt like a play that had maybe a more realistic pathway, and obviously I got super lucky.
Yeah, that was awesome. A lot of upside there. The ZE, which maybe gets sniffed out, but the Zingle on top, not something we saw, and then agatized as well. A lot of things that could have gone right for you, and hey, you got one of them. That was a beautiful display. Who would have thought in a game where your play scores 66, 78, 46, 43, 44, and 48, it's the 9-pointer that we'd be talking about afterwards. That seems to be a trend, though, in high-level Scrabble, right?
Yeah, it's those little moves that don't look like very much when they hit the board, but end up making a whole load of difference. Who knows? This would be hard to turn this one down for video status at some point. This is one of my more crazy wins that I've had. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we look forward to the breakdown.
You better do it, Will, because if you don't do it, I'm going to do it. So you got to get on it.
We can both do it, Mac. We can both do it. It's all good.
Great win, man. Good stuff.
Thanks. Okay. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Will, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck in your last game today. We'll see more of you on the stream. Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much.
And I think we owe one to the Scrabble gods after that, right, Mac? That was an incredible game. Will bingoed on 4 times and holding on, dropping a 491 to win. I will happily take my you could take a punishment. So cheers to the Will victory, cheers to the great game, and adios to my taste buds. Let's go. All right. A back is straight chugging that. Oh my God. Okay. We are getting the players corralled and situated. I realize I have no water up here. I'm in serious danger. But let's go ahead and review through 14 rounds what the standings in this tournament look like. We'll pop over to the CSW division first, where I'm trying to get everything updated here. Ben Schoenbrunn just dropped a game now, but still in a commanding 12-2. And Adam Logan, who we saw drop one game on stream earlier, that's one of just 2 he's dropped. He sits at 12-2 as well. 2 games clear of Chris Leip, and 3 games clear of a lot of other folks, but repeats are about to open up. This is a long tournament. There are a lot of very solid players there. Tomorrow, Ben and Adam are going to have targets on their back, and we'll see who's able to catch up and cause some damage. A lot of chaos yet to happen in the CSW field. But Mac, I think I know your prediction. If you have to pick one of these players now to win this tournament, who would you pick?
Yeah, I mean, probably no surprise. If you maybe put money on it, I would have to go with Adam. He is still in second place, but it is a very, very close second place, a mere 26 spread points, which is fairly negligible, especially with 13 more games of Scrabble to play. Not at all to detract from Benji. He's obviously an incredible player, as we saw on the stream earlier today. Sorry, I'm still struggling to enunciate a little bit after chugging that hot sauce, but I'm doing my best. But yeah, Adam just so experienced in these long tournaments, these grinds against top fields. I think got to give him the slight edge. But Ben, of course, still in prime position here. He's been playing great. He just needs his luck to continue, even in as somewhat close to as good fashion as it was today. He needs to keep playing well, and he is absolutely capable of taking this down, which would be a really, really awesome win for him. So yeah, will be really cool to see. I think, like Matt said, there's a lot of potential for other folks to come back. 2 games is not that big a lead with 13 left to play. And I mean, you've got Wellington, multiple time former world and North American champion. You've got Austin, Chris Leip, so many great players there who can easily come back. So it'd be really cool to watch. Let's take a look at NWL and see what's going on there before we jump into our next game. Wow, Chris Sykes, 14-0 plus 1450, putting on an absolute clinic here, but by no means out of the woods. He's got Joey Krafchick, who we'll be seeing in this upcoming game, the number 1 seed, one of the top 10 players in the country, hot on his heels with a better spread and just one loss. Zach Ansell, who we saw in a wild game against Andy Hong, 12-2 plus 989, having himself a heck of a tournament, over 1900 rating, well-deserved. He has been playing a lot of Scrabble, playing really well. So, yeah, lots can still happen here, too. Should be really exciting as we go into the weekend.
14 likes. Wow. Against any field at any time, 14-0 is incredible. And look at that rating increase. This guy's been getting good. If he holds on and has a good second half of this tournament, 2,000 is in play for Chris Sykes. He's been putting in the work. He studies hard. That would be well-deserved for Chris Sykes. Joey Krafchick, 13-1. Zach Ansell, 12-2, though. There's a lot of Scrabble to be played. A lot of important games yet to come. And NWL is playing, I think, a 25-game round robin, so no chance for repeats for a long time. I think we're going to have some very high-intensity games right at the end of this tournament in NWL. But we'll keep tabs on this one. The one we're bringing you, second place Joey Krafchick versus fifth place Eric Goldstein, to have some major ramifications on the playoff picture after the round robin ends over here.
Yeah, definitely. Big game for both of these guys. It is early, but you got to be feeling like, for Eric, at least in terms of if he wants any chances to catch up and be in the running to win, this is probably a must-win for him. He's playing the top seed and one of the players who is ahead of him. Really, really important game for Eric, and also a very important game for Joey, because Joey, normally being 13-1 plus 1520 at a Scrabble tournament is good enough for first place. Not now with the way Chris Sykes is doing, so Joey cannot take his foot off the gas. Big game for both of them. Should be a lot of fun. I think they're ready. Let's get it on.
Yeah, players are situated and ready at the board. So pivoting back to NWL, our last game from Albany of the day. Let's get to it. Let's get underway. Let's play Scrabble. Joey Krafchick, Eric Goldstein, off to the races. I got to get the score bug reset, but I'm looking forward to this one. And it looks like Joey's opting to put the headphones back on. Joey has asked me to clarify this to everybody on stream, so I will go ahead and explain it now. Joey does have a medical accommodation. He has decreased sound tolerance, and so even the smallest little noises from somewhere, clicking a pen, chewing some gum, something like that, are extremely grating to Joey, cause him actually physical pain. And so he's got an accommodation where he's allowed to wear headphones. There is no radio coming or anything like that. It's been cleared with NASPA, and he just wanted me to let everybody know that that's where the headphones come from. No advantage to be gained from them. But Joey just asked me to clarify that. So the headphones back on for this set against Eric, and Joey's been all business. I know he dropped one game to my buddy Ed Roth, but otherwise 13 wins in this tournament. Joey's been studying a lot. Told me he's a word machine. Let's see him put that to the test. Let's play Scrabble.
Yeah, and Eric having a heck of a showing, too, himself in Albany. He went 7-0 plus, I think, almost 1,000 in the early bird. Hey, Eric. Over Joey winning that tournament, gaining, I think, 60 or 70 rating in the 7-game early bird. And he's having a fine tournament here, 10-4, gained more rating here. He's getting close back to that 1,900 mark. So, yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Joey is going to probably bingo here based on his first 4 tiles, but maybe not after seeing the W. Yeah, he's bingoing. He's got Swatter.
Yeah, he's got it. That's what he needed. Just one bingo in this rack for Joey. The blank is an S. That would be Swatter, S-W-O-T-T-E-R. You'd hate to float an S if you can float anything else instead, but no other bingos here for Joey. He's quickly going to come to the conclusion that he's got to make it an S and grab this. So an opening bingo for Joey. Welcome to the stream, 76 points. And Eric, you've got an uphill task now, fighting against a 2,000 rated player with a bunch of garbage on your rack. And he's bingoed on the first turn with the blank. Good luck, buddy.
Hey, that's insulting. You said he's got a bunch of garbage on his rack. He's got Mac on his rack. You're calling me garbage?
I am.
Hey, how could you? I'm obviously joking. Yeah, no, he does have he does have garbage on his rack, but he does have some decent scoring potential. Anything through that O he can maybe play to
There's
score?
one wild play. Yeah, the 7-letter MADDOCK is 34 and just kind of ends one short of that. I think we're seeing a challenge here on
boy.
Swatcher. This word looks awful, but it is valid.
Yeah, is Matic good? I think it's Collins only, Matt. I don't recognize.
I'm in Collins.
Yeah.
Collins. Okay, so no Matic. Thank you for catching me, Mac. Let me get out of here.
Matic does have all the letters in my name, and I have studied all the Mac words, so I should know that. But
So then Eric's best play is even worse. It would be the quite appropriate for getting bingoed on the first turn, GODDAM. So that's all he has. It makes sense to challenge. You're getting destroyed in this game probably anyway. Take the shot.
Yeah, especially if you're not sure of it. And SWAT. I'm sure Eric knows SWAT, SWOT, and swatted probably SWOTTED. But tough that certainly with the Scrabble dictionary having as many idiosyncrasies as it does not imply it. Oh boy, has Joey got the other blank here? This is going to get out of hand quickly, guys.
Can we go back to Collins? Did the tile gods see our sacrifice and how many tears are running down my face right now? Come on, give us a good game.
It's still early, but yeah, Joey is. He's got finisher at the minimum. Does he have anything super high scoring here?
He's got 174 pointer. It is a 7.
With swatters. Why don't I see it yet? I don't actually see it yet.
Perhaps you don't own any furniture yet.
Haha, there you go. I hadn't gotten to you yet. Very good.
Yes, so furnish, the 1-7 in Joey's rack, 74 points would be his highest scoring bingo, but other options, freshing or finisher or refinish through the E, those are options as well.
Yeah, so Joey is probably going to take some time here, look for double doubles through the O, because that's a very reasonable tile to look through when you only have one vowel on your rack. But it looks like he is going to come to the realization that he doesn't have anything, and he's going to play furnish, which seems good to me. And yeah, he's going to go up 150 to zip, and with Eric still not having a whole lot to do. So this is not looking good, guys, for Eric at this point.
Yeah, 2 Ds, a G, and more garbage on his rack since it hasn't changed from the last turn, and just not good options. This is looking abysmal for Eric. Again, top option here is GODDAM. If you know that 6 and are confident on that spelling, there's a lot of ways to spell curse words, but that one looks kind of strange.
Eric just looking at us, shaking his shoulders. If Eric at this point, you're kidding me. Joey's drawn Sutane now and out earns.
Oh my god!
Good grief!
Right. We're just gonna watch Joey score 600 today.
Eric could have at least given me a shout out and played and Mac there. It would have been 31 points. It does keep GDD, which isn't great, but now we're going to see. I guess out earns is blocked. Ducks and Sutane. Actually, all of Joey's bingos kind of give back a lot here. I would probably make a big sacrifice and play Tanos for 60 through that N, with the N in Furnish being the second N in Tanos, just because Ducks and Sutane gives back a tremendous amount at the bottom, and Sutanes through this S and Swatters either way expose a triple, which at this lead Joey does not want to do. So I would actually make a big sack and play Tanos here. What would you do here, Matt?
I would just go ahead by 200, play Sutane, and then see if I can win this game by 400, probably. I think your win percentage is so close to 100% after Sutane at the bottom. Just do it. Just score points. I don't care anymore. As long as you don't open a triple, you can do most things here. But I would just take the points. At this point, I'm playing for spread.
I can't argue with that either. And I see the two players are already chatting a little bit. I wonder if Joey has indicated that he's bingoing again here, and Eric was just like, I thought I saw him just say something along the lines of "You got to be kidding me." So, yeah, I think they probably realize the game is effectively over at this point and just trying to have fun with it. And that's what you got to do if you're in Eric's shoes here. And one thing I always find it can be helpful to remember is when you get hammered like this and so much goes wrong, especially with a lost challenge, it can start to feel like you've made so many mistakes that you're like losing over and over again. At the end of the day, however close this game ends up being, even if Joey does somehow win by 400, this is one loss for Eric. It's not 3 losses, and he should just try to dwell on that and figure, if he can win a couple more games, that he can rebound from this. He's still going to be 10-5. And Joey going with what I still think is probably the slightly smarter play here of Tano's. He's going to take a 190-point lead on turn 3.
If you can be up by 190 after 3 turns, things are going very, very well for you. And even more to Joey's advantage is that he's used both of the blanks to do that. The path to victory for Eric is so sad, but he'll take this one in stride and I keep on going. It takes more than skill to be 13-1. It takes a little bit of luck too.
Joey's bingoing again, Matt. He's got Esculent. He's got Esculent. Both S's. Good grief.
All right.
He's not going to miss it.
No.
Oh, my goodness gracious. This is getting crazy.
So Joey's just going to bingo every turn this game, doing the aerolith word walls, except in real life right now. I guess is what we're seeing here. Joey putting on the clinic on how to draw. And there's a cue for you, Eric.
U-I-I-O and something. After playing a U, of course. This is... I'm actually a little bit surprised that Joey hasn't already bingoed yet. I mean, he's laughing. He sees it. Yeah. There you go. Oh, man. And that does take it does take an S. I wonder if the players are aware of that, but
esculent looks like it could be an adjective, but it is actually a noun. Something that is edible. Esculent takes the S. I guess Eric's got to be like, hey, finally, you put a U there, and I've got a Q. I can do a thing. And qua, I guess, makes some sense.
Oh, yeah, you might as well. What the heck? You might as well play qua and try the setup at this point, right? You got nothing to lose.
Got nothing to lose because this game's already lost.
Come on, don't put the
G down. Come on. Go big baller. Joey, what did you draw?
He has Enurin next to Tano's. It plays. Oh, my goodness. 5 in a row to start the game. It's going to happen.
Oh, 5 bingos in a row to start the game from Joey Krafchick. Swatter, Furnish, Tanos, Esculent.
He's just, oh my gosh. I did this once years ago. Joey Malik did it, I think, recently at the Swillens tournament. It is very, very rare to have 5 bingos in a row, let alone to start a game. Wow. This is, you don't see this every day, guys.
No, this is, this is rare. And I mean, at this point, if I were Joey, I'd open the triple now. I'm shooting for 800. I'm breaking a record. If I have this kind of start. 68's fine.
Yeah. Right. I didn't even see. I was just so beside myself. I didn't even see he can play it above Esculent. If he draws I don't know if anyone's ever started the game with 6 bingos, guys. We have a chance at Scrabble history here. Let's pay attention to what Joey gets. Okay. Not bad. Okay.
Oh, God. Did he do it? Did he do it?
You do it? Come on. Oh, you roasted. Come on.
Not quite.
Trolleys almost. Man, he's painfully close, though. Eye rolls, which is not good, through an R.
Wow.
Man, he's so close.
Wow, that's really all there is to say. Zip, the appropriate play here from Eric, Zip or Zap, his top 2 options there in the corner. And Joey, while he can't bingo this turn, he does have 40 points available, or he can play Yodel through the D and Mond and keep ELS for 26. Solely, Solely, is 40. Yodel's 26. So while Joey's bingo streak has finally ended, he's got great options this turn.
I'm like having a hard time even focusing now. I'm not used to having to think. It's just been bingo, 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 bingo. Yeah, it's weird now having to actually play Scrabble when you don't have a bingo. But yeah, I'm totally playing Yodel here. If I'm Joey, I want that 6 bingo. I want the spread. I'm not necessarily thinking I can get 700, but it's conceivable if I hit a big one with Esculents. There's only one S. There's no reason to infer that Eric has it after playing Zip. Yodel creates another hook. I am definitely doing that. But, I mean, you can't also blame Joey for just playing solely and locking this down. That's obviously completely fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to play 7 tiles, at least play 6 tiles this turn. This one might be like one of those 9 or 10 turn games. We're getting to the end very quickly. Eric is holding excellence.
Matza through the ZA. That's a nice play.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And that's a great play for him. Well, actually, no, it doesn't fork the board. I didn't see the Q there. Yeah, so he can't play above it. But you got nothing to lose. Might as well open the M there. I'm just watching to see what Joey. I got the J. He's not going to bingo probably. Nah. Joey finally with a not so great draw, although he still is threatening Jin and Joe on the C column for 45 points.
When you're not going to bingo, you're going to get at least 40 every
There,
turn. Oh, here it is. Let's go, Eric. Nice spot.
Oh, emoji.
Well
My. He's going to play emoji for 69.
Oh my God, Joey. Oh my God, this is incredible.
And Joey's just laughing already. He knows this. Oh, goodness.
Sometimes Scrabble just plays itself, and this is one of those games.
I mean, Joey has
All right.
How many has Joey been averaging? So that's 7 turns. He's got 5 bingos, a 40-point play, and a 66-point play. He's going to have 460 after this in 7 turns. That is an average of
60,
what is that?
60.
Something like that, right? Yeah, 65.7 points, I think, or something like that.
Emoji just exactly on par with his average play this game, but I think he'll finally slow down
On his next turn, unless he trays and gets away without pod or something, but I doubt he will.
That would definitely make it in a Mack Meller video if that stayed on.
I mean, this is probably making a video, and anyway, it's not too often you see someone start a game with 5 bingos. This is crazy. But yeah, I mean, Eric here with more clunk. Eric has really just not even had a good rack this game. He's down by 278 points.
It's not like he's really done much wrong either. Like, yeah, I guess challenging Swatter, like, you shouldn't lose that turn, sure, but like he hasn't played bad to end up in this hole. And if you don't know Swatter, you challenge it. That's it. It's just sometimes Joey averages 66 points a game. That's Scrabble.
Yep, it is Scrabble. Exactly. There's really not a whole lot else to say. Like you said, obviously it's not optimal. It never is to lose a challenge, but Eric, I think, got unjustly punished for that, to say the least. This has been absolutely brutal, but glad to see Eric at least has been laughing throughout this game, and I think taking it in good spirits, which is no surprise. Eric is a great guy, one of my best friends in the game. Really just loves playing. He plays tons and tons of Scrabble. I think he won the most games of the year award last year. He just loves getting out and doing this, and I think he's about to misplace Avenge. Okay, there, he fixes it, but yeah, I know he's gonna take this in stride, and he's gonna go out for dinner after this and have a good time with his friends and laugh it off, which is exactly what you love to see.
I feel like Joey ought to pay for the dinner after this one, though.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, but yeah, this has been a tough one to watch. But like I said, like you said too, Eric is not really playing a bad game, and I think any of us facing Joey playing like this are going to lose this game, maybe by 220 instead of 280. But I mean, this is truly one of those games. People talk about unwinnable games. Some of them. People will throw around that term when maybe there was something they could have done. I think it's fair to say this was not a winnable game for Eric Goldstein. This was just Joey's game to win from the start.
And we have to figure out a way to keep you all entertained as we get this ship landed. This is the final round of today, but there's plenty more Scrabble here at letsplayscrabble.com and on the Let's Play Scrabble YouTube channel. 2 more games of play from Albany, New York. Rounds 16 through 22, round 16 through 23 tomorrow, and then we'll round it out on Sunday morning. Plenty of Scrabble here in Albany. Great turnout as well, great solid fields, and play begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So we expect to have the stream live just a few minutes after that, 9:33, 9:35. Tomorrow I will be joined in the booth by Charles Reinke, and I believe he'll take us all the way home all day Saturday and Sunday. Mac, we've appreciated having you here as well. Always great to get you and your voice. And if you don't know Mack Meller yet, check him out. He is on YouTube putting out content nearly every day. MackMeller. Mac, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you put out, the kinds of videos you make?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. I appreciate the plug. And I guess given that this game has ceased to be interesting as far as the result goes, I will take this opportunity to self-promote a little bit. As Matt said, I try to put out content as much as every day as I can. Pretty much always Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday as well. I'm doing a couple of different simultaneous series right now against the Woogles.io bots that are super fun. I'm doing a rematch actually of a 100-game series I played against the AI-powered bot BestBot, which unfortunately the first one didn't go my way, but we had lots of awesome games there. So doing a rematch that's also been off to a rough start, but we've had some awesome games, really cool positions and analysis. Super fun to make those videos, and everyone seems to really be enjoying them and engaging well, which I always love to see. It's always fun to see people getting into the game through my videos. So hope you guys continue to enjoy that one. I've also been doing a Blitz series against HastyBot that airs every Friday afternoon as well. So especially if you're into faster games and more exciting content like that, definitely check that out. And then Tuesday, Thursday videos are usually kind of more of a grab bag type thing. I'll either do fun variants against Quackle or other people, non-Scrabble games, word puzzles, stuff like that. Analysis of really interesting end games. Perhaps a game like this that's really notable. We'll get into one of my off-day videos. It's sort of just anything is up for grabs in those. And then Saturdays, if I post, is usually I do against Joey Malik, who's another top player. I do a lot of best of 11 Blitz matches against him, which are super fun and entertaining. So yeah, lots of fun stuff I've been putting out. I got some other ideas for fun content that'll hopefully be coming your way soon. So I would really appreciate if you haven't already. I know I have a lot of my subscribers in the chat too. So shout out to everybody in the chat who already regularly watches my videos. Really appreciate it. But if you haven't, please check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment. Would really appreciate it.
Yeah, there's so many people who work so hard to get Scrabble out there, but the growth we're starting to see in this game is incredible, and it's in large part due to the efforts of people who try to get Scrabble out there and bring in the younger generation. The work Mac does, Will Anderson does, Josh Sokol does, Austin Shin does, Charles Reinke does, a number of the streamers out there. It's awesome stuff, and you can find Scrabble more and more on the internet. A lot of these players play Scrabble and other word games on Woogles, Woogles. So if you're new to Scrabble, just kind of getting exposed to this for the first time, that's a great place to go. You can play bots. You can play against real humans as well. It is 100% free to join. The donations for the owners are probably warranted because they've done a huge service for Scrabble putting that together. But Woogles is a great place to start if you're looking to get into Scrabble. Let's Play Scrabble has a number of tournaments. The full listing will be on cross-tables.com. You can find all kinds of tournaments in North America. And if you're just tuning in, I can't encourage you enough to just go try. Even if you're like, I don't know any of these words. Well, most of us don't. We show the very, very top level of play. But Scrabble tournaments have divisions from beginner to expert. You're not going to be paired against a Joey Kraftchick and watch him bingo 5 times in 5 turns at your first tournament. Everybody's going to ease in, and everybody gets the option to take this as seriously as they want. Some people want to learn every single bingo and try to win every single game. Some people would love to take a lengthy trip to Albany over the 4th of July weekend and see a bunch of longtime friends. Scrabble's for everybody. Lots of diversity in the scene, lots of fun to be had. Just meet the greatest people and friends for life. I've been playing for almost 20 years, and it's incredible to watch people grow old, get married, have kids, get married a second time sometimes. Like people's lives change, and just the friends I've made for life out here. I never thought I'd be streaming or anything like that. I just wanted to play a board game I liked, and the rest kind of happened. So if you're out there, you like Scrabble, give it a shot. Go to a club, go to a tournament, get online and play some folks there. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I'm just watching here because I see Joey's threatening pedantry through the N, and I am eagerly awaiting to see if Eric blocks it. That would be Joey's sixth bingo of the game. I don't believe he has anything playable other than pedantry, and Eric does have Gox lined up, which would block it next to the EL on the board. So we will have to see what happens here, but. Yeah, man, this game. All right, Eric is going to block, but yeah, this game is just like Matt said. If if you're watching this video and you're either not a tournament player or newer to tournaments, don't let this discourage you. This is not normal. This is not going to happen to you almost always if you play a tournament game against anyone. And like Matt said, if you're a newer player, you're not going to be paired against Joey Krafchick in your first game, and your opponent is not going to bingo 5 times in a row, let alone not going to bingo 5 times at all. It just doesn't really happen that often. So, this is definitely the top of the top here that we're showing on stream. But everybody starts somewhere, and I started somewhere. So did Joey. So did Matt. And it takes a lot of work to get to that point. But if you put in the time, it's certainly attainable. And like Matt said, you can either take it really seriously and put in a ton of work if you enjoy it, which we certainly hope you do, or just go with the attitude of having fun and doing the best you can and having a good time, which is also an awesome way to look at it. So it's just an awesome game, and these guys both have been part of the community for a really long time here. This one definitely going Joey's way, but like I said, I know Eric is going to take it in stride and continue playing this game just as he would have if it went in his favor in the same way.
Joey still has yarned for a whole bunch of points. This one is going to get nuts. He's threatening 600, and in NWL, 600 does not happen often. Just a testament to both how steadily Joey has played this game, but also how well he has drawn in this game. Yarn does come down. That brings Joey, by my math, to 557 to Eric's 254.
Sheesh, yeah, it is not too often that you see a game played between this caliber of players get to a 300-point margin. It certainly does happen, but not to say that Joey is going to necessarily win this game by over 300. Paratid, does that play? No, Paratid's Paradis not going to fit. So unless Eric opens another line, but the board is pretty exhausted, and you'll see that happen when someone bingos so much. The board does tend to get exhausted. Oh man, if Joey had adoptive, we'd see. Wait, EP is not good. Okay, wow.
All right, yeah, so not quite going to give Joey the spot for Parotid, but Eric just making a play, accelerating to the end of this game, and Joey not going to be able... Oh, he's picked it up. He's not going to play it. I go backwards in time.
Yeah, Eric, I was definitely thrown a little there, too. Eric put down and picked up several plays. I thought he was putting the V in the triple line at first. But, I don't really see any candidate plays for Eric that seem reasonable that would give Joey a spot. An I floating would give him Tepiroid, and L floating would give him Dioptral Tripodal if he ends up going with like levies or something, but I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah, there's not quite a way for him to string the I out here and give Joey the TAPIROID. That would be absolutely devastating and launch him into the 700s likely, but IES doesn't quite reach. Still a mammoth score for Joey, even if this last bingo is not going to go down.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything either. And honestly, if you're Eric here, there's no reason to do that, because sometimes when you're down, you try to make these desperation openings. There's two things, right? Number one, Joey, if he can't use it, is going to just block. And number two, even if Eric hypothetically tripled in some situation here, he's still going to lose by almost 200 points. He's still down that much. So there's just no reason here to do that if you're Eric. Just keep the board tight, accept the fact that it's going to be a blowout, and don't make it worse than it already is.
I would have been out of the playing room by now if I were Eric. I would have played the entire rest of this game in like 2 minutes after the first 5 bingos and just tried to go enjoy my night. But kudos to Eric for staying calm and trying to make sure he gets some, his spread doesn't get hammered too hard after this one.
For sure. Yeah, Vire looks as good as anything there. The leave is fine. I guess the pool may need to be updated now that he picked up Felice. He may be running into some eye trouble here, but we'll see. Oh, and Joey is going to try to set up a pod. Are there enough tiles left for him to bingo? I guess
Eric
there are.
Yeah, there are, but Eric has the A.
Oh, is Eric going to bingo? Ah, dang, that eye was painful.
Nope.
I was hoping Eric would at least get one bingo down to save face a little bit, but it looks like not. So now the question for Eric is, does he fish? I think he can, because from his perspective, it doesn't look like there are any playable bingos for Joey, if I am not mistaken. Ratbird is not a word.
No playable bingos in that 8-tile unseen pool.
So if Eric fishes off an eye and tries to draw glares and glacier on the bottom, it might be tough for Joey to block both potentially. I would give it a shot.
Yeah, Eric has the opportunity to fish here. He could do it if he wants to. He would have to take quite a bit of time and brain power to figure out the appropriate fish here. But yeah, if Joey can't bingo, you got a free shot. You're so close.
I mean, I honestly, I don't think it takes that much brain power, right? Because I don't think it's too hard to determine that with that clunky of a pool, there aren't any playable bingos for Joey. And fishing an eye is definitely the most natural thing with 2 on your rack. There aren't that many places to play it. Probably just Gee for 6 next to the G and Quag. I wonder, can Joey block both Glacier and Glares? Because if he plays to the S, Glares will still fit with a pod. I don't think he can. I might be missing something, though.
I don't see a way. Does Triads block everything?
Glarius would still fit.
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay. Braids,
but he could play Braids.
Yeah, Braids would do it right there.
Yeah.
So even fishing won't work. Joey can just block it all.
Fair point. And SI
So it does take a little bit of mental brain power. We got there, but not everybody can look at a pool of A, B, D, I, R, R, T and immediately conclude that there are no bingos here. That's a superhuman ability for most people, even most Scrabble players. He's going to fish AEGILRS, the rack, and Joey's got to figure out how to address all of the threats, but he's
just not going to, I don't think.
What are you doing, Joey?
He's just going to play Rabbit, it looks like. So he's going to throw a little spread out the window here, it seems, which, I mean, honestly is sloppy because, it's easy to lose focus in this kind of game, but, Chris Sykes is 14-0 plus 1470. Joey could need every spread point he can get. And yeah, this is going to cost him about 60 spread points, guys, not blocking that bingo. That is a big mistake for Joey here. You can't deny it. Yeah, so that was a little sloppy. I mean, Joey had 14 minutes on his clock. He should have at least maybe he didn't think Glacier was good. I find that hard to believe, but he could have at least taken 1 or 2 of his 14 minutes and came up with the play that Matt and I sort of worked together to find there of Braids, which would have stopped both of Eric's bingos. So yeah, if Joey somehow ends up losing this tournament by a small number of spread points, this actually will be one he comes back to real.
So Eric incorrectly fishes, even though all of his options can be blocked. Joey opts not to do any of the blocking and cedes the out bingo to Eric. So I guess fishing in this instance was the right thing to do. that's the end of that one. Not much to talk about. 644 for Joey, 306 for Eric. Almost certain to be the high game of the tournament for the NWL division. We'll see if Joey wants to give us just a quick little interview. I don't think he'll have many parting thoughts except that was a luck box performance, but we'll see if we can get him on the headset for this one. And you see Eric just kind of puts his arm out. What can I do? Tip my hat to my opponent and say, nice job finding those bingos, and move on to the next one. We're saying, can we get both on the set? Sure, yeah, we can get both on there and just kind of talk about that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sure, we'll see if Eric wants to put on a headset. Looks like we're getting scores submitted electronically. Look at this. We've moved into the future. We're all high tech and stuff now. Don't have to waste paper with the result slips anymore. And I see Eric getting the headset on. Joey will be joining us in just a minute. Eric not getting the headset on.
Who am I talking to? And we're live?
That was fun.
Man, that was brutal.
Yeah, I don't know why. Swatters looked funny to me. Other than that,
Hello.
Other than that, I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I had forgotten.
I should have known Swatters.
I had tracked it, and I thought there was no A's out, and I didn't. Yeah, that was a whiff.
Oh, with the rapid play, you mean, Joey?
No, like when I set up my A for Pod, I forgot that he actually did have an A because he pulled his play back, but I tracked his letters after he put them on the board when he played Valis or didn't play Valis.
Was it correct? Was it correct for me to fish off the I, knowing he had an A?
Yes, it absolutely was, because he didn't have any playable bingos that could have fit down that column. It's worth mentioning Joey could have stopped both Glares and Glacier by playing Braids to the S and Tanos, which would have saved him a couple of spread points there. But I mean,
like you didn't have enough.
Exactly. But that was not much else to say.
Yeah, my only saving grace is that even if I don't challenge it, he's bingoing twice the first two turns anyway, most likely, and both blanks are out, so I'm in the hole. Where am I supposed to be looking? Right here?
Yeah, no, it's a reasonable decision to challenge. That word looks so funky. I've actually challenged it before myself, and then sometimes Scrabble just it rains, it pours kind of situation. So what can you do?
I should have known.
Tip your cap.
Sorry to all the fans out there. I let you down. Swatters was a stupid challenge. But Matza
Joey,
was
what do you
nice,
have to say for yourself?
No props for Matza?
I didn't give the viewers an interesting game. But I'm not really ashamed, I guess. If that makes sense.
Sometimes that just happens. How long did it take you to see Esculent, Joey? It looks like you waited on that just a second.
I saw it immediately. I just was making sure I didn't have something better. I played it pretty quick, I thought, like less than 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, it was less than 30 seconds. I just the speed with which you usually see bingos. I guess to me that seems like a hesitation, but we're just spoiled by the play.
I think I know what it means. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to accidentally be wrong.
No props for Matza?
Something that is edible, yeah.
Hello? Nobody?
We were hoping you were going to see that. No, that was nice through the ZA. That's not easy to see. And normally it would be a good thing to open the M at that kind of deficit, but of course Joey had EOJI, and it's just one of those times you got to, I guess, just shake your head and laugh at it. What else are you going to do, right?
Other than Swatters, any other major mistakes I made in terms of trying to score and balance the racks?
Yeah, you made a huge one. It was sitting down and showing up for this game in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Other than that,
we didn't see much of anything. You just got run over here.
Yeah. Well, I'm rooting for Joey in general, so
someone once
I'm
dubbed
happy
5
for
straight
him,
bingos
sort of.
to start a game in Irving. So I Irving'd Eric. I don't know who made that up, but bingo, bango, bongo.
Bingo, bango, bongo, bungo,
Something
Irving.
I don't know why.
That's apparently what the fifth one is called.
Swatters, I was having flashbacks to Inanes. Remember, Joey? And I thought maybe he just made a mistake when you opened up with the Nanes instead of Siennas.
Oh yeah. What about that?
Insanes.
Right. What does that relate to this?
Well, I just thought maybe you made a mistake
With which
with
one?
Swatters. Swatter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I study, in the summer, but in New Orleans, I might make some egregious whiff like that because I haven't studied since the summer usually.
So, Eric, what you got going on tonight? I know there's always a good nightlife scene when this many Scrabble players get together. I know you're out with your son. Any plans tonight?
Don't know what we're doing tonight. We got a hosted dinner tomorrow night. Tonight, I don't know. There's some good spots in Albany, so we'll make sure we hit them. But I'm not sure. I tend to leave it up to Noah. I let him call the shots because I don't know what we do.
We'll let you go and enjoy your dinner, and hopefully put this game out of your mind and come back in a good way tomorrow, Eric, and get some more wins.
Yeah, this game was out of my mind about 35 minutes ago. So no
Good.
worries.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go have some fun tonight. Thanks for the game, and see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the commentary.
Yep.
And with that, we are going to wind down for today. Play begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. 13 more rounds of Scrabble, I think, or some number like that. Time is a flat circle when I stream Scrabble, and math is not my strong suit. But we will be back. More Scrabble, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. This is the end of Mac on the stream. So, Mac, any parting words for our audience before we set you free?
Nothing in particular. I'd just say thanks so much, guys, for watching and supporting the stream. Really appreciate it. Love to see whether it's here on my channel, Will's, anywhere, just people engaging with Scrabble, watching live or recorded games. It's awesome to see how much the community has been growing. So yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks Matt, as well as Josh Greenway, Kieran O'Connor, and the rest of the team for having me on. Always a pleasure to watch all these games and bring them to you guys. And yeah, I think that's about it. Some crazy games today. Obviously, this one was, not so interesting, but crazy in its own way. The Will versus Dennis game, the other ones too. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you all soon, whether at Nationals. Hope to see a lot of you in person there on my channel or on other streams. But yeah, thanks so much for having me again. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great time with Matt and Charles this weekend.
And with that, I am going to go hit the gym and touch some grass. I really need some sun. I love Scrabble, but I got to get outdoors. With that, y'all have a good night. We will see you 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Until then.